Here we are. First
Holy
episode.
Shit. We're here.
We are. Tinfoil haters.
We're here,
feeling,
and we're on time.
We are on time. We're accidentally on time.
Yeah.
I thought we were starting another hour because time zones are a thing that I don't understand.
Yeah. I'm glad that I was just like, hey, link. Is there any
Yes, I was gonna send you the link like 30 minutes in advance, and so I'm like, "Yep, I'll send you the link at 7:30 my time."
Yep.
Thank you very much for keeping me honest, Sammy boy. I love your shirt, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I figured I didn't have anything off the wall like yours with the with the Roswell baseball team.
I bought this shirt like a month ago. I found it on sale for like $8. I was like, I need a conspiracy theory shirt, and then it came in handy. What can I say?
Well, now I'm gonna be buying more. I'm gonna have to get one with Hoppa's face on it. That'll be great. So
we need some X-Files merch or something like that. I want to believe.
Yes.
So, why don't we go ahead and explain what we're doing here? First of all, I see all you guys in the chat already. Thank you so much. Yes, force choke that like button. Nadia in the house. How you doing, girly? Johnny Boy Richards, Jeremy Hughes review. Emily's dismantling illusions. I haven't seen you in ages. Dax Stars is that pilot hype. Sammy, why don't you explain what we're doing here, my friend?
Well, you and I have a lot of fun on streams together, and there's only so much air in the room when other people are here. So we decided that we were just going to talk about whatever the hell we want. We weren't going to be limited by, what's going on in gaming or news or whatever. We're just going to have conversations, and people tend to like when you and I have conversations. So that's what we're going to do. And now I don't have to worry about fucking steamrolling over people because now we got the whole floor. Now we might invite other people on, but they'll have to understand that they're going to get steamrolled over, like train,
or they can establish dominance and steamroll back. But because that's the biggest thing. When
exactly.
you're on panel streams, ain't nobody else fucking establishing dominance. So
yes, I was like, well, and also like I can be a nice guy on other people's shows. I can wait my turn. I'm not waiting my turn on the show. It was like I don't expect you to do that either. But I think so. We wanted to talk about like messed up things. And I thought what a better way to get started for spooky season would be the Malleus Maleficarum, which is a book that came out in the 1500s by which I believe might be the first incel, Heinrich Kramer. Does
Heinrich Kramer predate Aleister Crowley?
Oh yeah, by like centuries.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Okay. Yeah, so basically, this was the book that kind of like normalized and made it easy to hunt witches, identify witches, kill witches. It was used very heavily in the Salem witch trials. And it's all bullshit. It's all insane. Like one of the things I was reading today is while you're torturing the witch to get a confession out of them, you shouldn't look them in the eye because
they can like possess you, or
they'll possess you, but like let's face it, it's much harder to torture someone if you're making eye contact with them. So there's a bunch of shit like that.
It's actually a really practical book when you look at it. It's kind
of it is. The dude is an absolute, like I said, incel. I saved a quote simply just for this. I have it on my phone. Yes. What else is a woman but a foe to friendship, a necessary evil, a natural temptation? So, like, this is the type of shit that we're dealing with here.
That was from the book, or that was from Reddit? Where did you pull that? Or from 4chan?
Yeah, no, exactly. No, I was gonna say I'm positive there's plenty of Reddit pages that have this shit on file where it was just like, well, let's consult the hammer of witches, and
yeah, which is what it translates to for those who don't know. Yeah, Malleus Maleficarum is the hammer of witches, and it sounds like a sex thing. It sounds more like a Kama Sutra than it does a. What's going on here? This is the new show. This is the new Tuesday show. Cryptic, nice to see you here. We're gonna talk shit today. We're talking about the Maleficarum and wherever it goes. Mama Badger in the house. How you doing? Cass is also here. Love the fact that you guys showed up for this as a first time show. Thank you so much. Sorry, continue, Sammy.
Oh no, so we're going on a trial run. So yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff in here. It was written in 1519, I believe. Let's see. Oh wait, date actually issue date 1487. So this has been around, and I'm pretty sure the Salem trials didn't even happen until like the 1600s.
It was,
So
yeah,
like
it was the 1600s.
this was a well circulated book, and actually, when it was in print, so Gutenberg, the inventor of the printing press, he actually the guy who primarily started printing this the most, he actually sued Gutenberg. He was Gutenberg's father-in-law, so Gutenberg needed to borrow money so he could create the printing press, and then he didn't like pay his father-in-law back.
Small loan of $1 million. It's just a small loan of $1 million.
He turned it into $1 billion. It was the best. They're only going to print Bibles.
The word of John is the word of law, after all.
I guess Gutenberg's father-in-law was like, well, Steve, or whatever the fuck Gutenberg's first name is, he has, the Bible game on lock. So why don't I print out this crazy ass fucking book? And people will be sure to buy that because, when you're making books for...
And this is more like a supplemental to the Bible, really. If you look at it, this is sort of like, you'll read comics and it'll be like Civil War. And then there'll be like, oh, here's little offshoot issues that help you understand better. There's like, hey, if you read the Bible, remember, the Bible doesn't like witchcraft. So here's this supplemental book about how to hunt.
This is a one shot, yeah. This is a one shot. And so he actually had to do... Heinrich Kramer actually had to do a bunch of shit to get this like published. So like he was excommunicated in certain areas of the church because like he had this thing where it was like excuse me, like, hey, we should burn these diabolical sinners against God. And they're kind of going, kind of sounds like you're just singling out women. And they're like, no. It's a thing.
To be fair, the church was very progressive in the 1400s compared to this dude. Like,
yeah, no, exactly. This dude was like, no. So he ended up forging a document from I think it was like the I guess okay, so it says here the book was condemned by top theologians of the Inquisition. So the Inquisition was like, nah. This is you're going.
That's kind of like fucking Jeffrey Epstein being like, "Okay, Diddy, you took it too far." Like,
yeah, exactly. He was like, "You can't come to the island anymore. You're freaking everybody out." And then he's like, "I bought all this baby oil for nothing." And for nothing. And
I've heard the stories. If you drown the witches in baby oil, but they don't drown, that's how you know they're a witch. And if they do drown in the baby oil, then that means they were a human and their soul has now ascended to heaven. So
yeah, and that's the type of retarded stuff that I'm getting at. So like, well, yeah, that was called drowning a witch. So what they would do is if you were a witch, you would float, apparently. And if you...
I feel sorry for all them big titty women that weren't witches. Yeah, like, oh, we're floating naturally. Like,
and if you were innocent, you would sink and drown, and they'd be like, ah, damn. But if you floated, they would go, well, you're a witch, and then they would condemn you to death afterwards. So, like, if you got in that position, like, you were gonna die. But yeah, so Cologne basically said, no. So he forged a document and went around like other places going like, well, I have this document from the faculty of Cologne, and like it's not like they had like text messages or anything else, so they were just kind of like, well, it looks like they signed it. So that's how like this really got in print. So like heresy and all this other stuff. So but eventually, since it was getting such circulation because it was actually, like I said, one of the first books in mass production, people kind of had no choice but to believe it was true. It was like, so you got this, you got the Bible, and I guess whatever. King Arthur when it was new, or I have no idea. But
So it
yeah,
makes you wonder because obviously, being an American, we have a very we're the center of the world sort of mentality, and like I know about the Salem witch trials. I read the Crucible, things to that effect. But
Mhm.
but like you said, those weren't until the 1600s. So it makes me wonder. I assume they were just like burning women willy nilly in Europe as well, 200 years
Oh
prior to
yeah,
the witch trials. There's like
there's
fuck them bitches, like.
I read an account where there's this town in Germany where the Inquisition, like with armed with nothing but this book, they kind of went through. So a lot of things that would happen is like, so they get one person who gets accused, right? And then all of a sudden, by the time they leave, like 20 people are accused because like
Yeah, well, because
one of
witches are like potato chips. You can never have just
yeah,
one. Like,
yeah, it's a coven, not a solo grift. But so they go through this town in Germany, and by the time they left, there wasn't a woman alive left in this village. So like so like you add this crazy
they
book.
inadvertently made like the first prison. Dudes just gonna be fucking each other because there's no women left. Like,
Yeah,
what up,
no,
Boots? Appreciate you being here,
hey,
brother.
whoosh.
Turned Leon into a newt. He didn't get better.
So that's going on. Oh, Spoon's here. We got a bunch of people in the chat already.
We do. Thank you all
Sorry
for
I'm
showing up.
neglecting the chat. Normally I'm a little bit more active, but I have all this
Philip
crazy
Morgan said so that
information.
village had peace.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
so
No more
people
no
got
more
to
witches nagging at me to churn the butter, am I right?
unfortunately PlayStation didn't exist when that happened. So but or football for that matter, but yeah, so yeah, it's led to a bunch of crazy shit, and one of the things that it definitely led to was the Salem witch trials, which is an insane part of American history. Um, there's a lot of speculation on it, but basically, uh, all right, half drunk. I wish I was, but basically, it was kind of a he said, she said bullshit situation, where even much to the chagrin of the townspeople, they even allowed what they called spectral evidence to go in and be used in the courtroom, where they could go, oh my god, her ghost is attacking me right now, her spirit, and everyone would have to go like, well, shit, stop that, don't do that, you're hurting these people. And then the person who's accused is going, I'm not doing anything, and they basically sent bullshit. Yes, you are. And I think over 20 people were killed
We had
over
a
it.
real case like that a few years ago. If you know, there was a woman that tried to sue, claiming that a ghost was raping her. Like, ghost rape somehow made it into the court system. Obviously, she didn't win, and I don't even know how you would pay someone from the afterlife. Like, did Dalius take the coins from the Greek dude's tongue and pay? I don't know, but like, there was a woman that in the 21st century tried to sue over ghost rape.
I mean, I don't recall ever being a ghost, so I'm gonna say bullshit. Um, but I mean, there might have been other women that I haven't come across. Yeah, no, Mama, you would have had a bad time. Most people would have had a bad time. I was reading this account in the like there was a field doctor in the Civil War, and he's like, "Oh, he's gonna heal. The wound is all covered in pus, the healing pus." And I was like, "Yeah, that guy's gonna die, um, horribly, blood
It reminds
poison."
me of that SNL sketch where Steve Martin was the
Was the barber?
like, yeah, Theodoric of yore or whatever, and he was all like,
Yeah,
and this man is dead, and Bill Murray's like, no, I'm not. Shut up. Yes, you are. Like,
yeah, yeah. So, who's the barber here? Um, so yeah, so have you had any experiences with witches, or had to have wish you had this book in your back pocket at any given times?
so do you? I actually have an honest answer to that. If you want the honest, you say, have
I,
you have experience with witches? Both my ex-wife and the woman I dated before thought they were witches, and the woman I dated before took it so far as she had a mason jar of her own blood, urine, and like some animal bones that I didn't know about that she had hidden under our bathroom sink.
Making some
Like
gazpacho, was she?
I knew she was into like all dressing witchy and stuff, and like she liked like vampire books. I didn't know until well into the relationship that she actually thought that she was a witch, and so eventually that fell apart. And I get with a woman that would later go on to be my wife. And at one point, me and my wife are having a conversation. I don't remember what was going down. And again, I knew she was like pagan or whatever. That didn't bother me. I'm a Christian, but whatever. I'm open minded. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, so she believes in a pantheon of gods, whatnot. And then something happened, and she looks at me, and she's dead face, looks at me in the eye, it's serious. She goes, "You want me to put a curse on him?" And I laughed because I thought she was fucking joking.
Yeah.
And she's like, no. I could ruin his entire weekend with just a few words. I was like, I mean, I'm not going to say no.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, I would be like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, so that is my actual
Curse on 'em.
experience with witches.
My wife believes that I'm haunted. So she sages the house every couple months, but that's about as far as
See,
it goes.
I've never look. I believe in ghosts and demons and the other worldly. I don't really know where I fall on witches, if I'm being 100, but I do believe in that sort of stuff. That being said, I don't know what sage has. It like I've walked in people's houses and been like, patchouli, I'm out. Like, the ghosts just not fucking like sage. I don't know what makes sage so repulsive to the
It's 'cause it
other
smells like
world.
shit. Yeah, that's what I was a couple of times I was like, I've walked in the basement and like wish she was like smoking a blunt and was like, no, you're saging the house. So my first house was haunted, which is funny because I'm not really gonna get into it, but my dad, it's because he doesn't believe in ghosts or any of that shit, and you could ask him to this day. He's a very serious man. Dad, why'd we leave the first house? And we're like, because it was haunted. And we were like, do you believe in ghosts? He's like, nah, I don't buy into that shit. And it was like, then why did we move? He was like, because it was haunted. And it was like, all right, I don't fucking get how that works, but well, might
Yeah,
have been my mom.
all ghosts are British, Boost. That's what we've come to realize. All ghosts are British.
Yes.
Um,
Terribly sorry. Boo.
So salt actually does make sense though, Jason Fox. Like sage, I don't get. Maybe there's an explanation for it. Salt is is pure. Salt is a pure substance, the pure mineral that comes from
Yeah.
the earth that is white.
Crystalline structure.
Right, and because of that, it's stated that supernatural beings can't cross lines of salt because it's basically like the earth's hallowed ground, like natural hallowed ground.
And it makes potatoes taste great.
It really fucking does. Yeah. To be fair, potatoes are like my favorite thing to cook because you can do anything with them. Like
Yeah.
you can mash them, you can fry them, you can stuff them, you can bake them. What can't you do with a fucking potato?
It is the most versatile food. Um,
Okay,
but
apparently Johnny Boy says Sage is pure as well. Fair. Look, the only reason I doubt that is because every person named Sage I've ever met has been the most impure of individuals of all time.
yeah, that's
Sage
true.
is one of those go-to tranny names. It's like, oh, your name was Deborah. What is it now? Oh, I'm Sage. It's like, okay, you know what? You're right. That would keep me at bay. Maybe I'm a fucking ghost.
Right.
I don't know what talc is. Like, I've heard people explain it. In fact, I think Mox tried to explain it to me not too long ago. But yeah, talc is a thing. You
It's
should about
baby
English
powder.
cooking and like. Look, when I say English, like their cooking is bad, but potatoes as a apple of the earth are great. You both can be true. Anyway, back to the Malleus Maleficarum. So yes, the Salem witch trials came about in the 1600s as a Puritan, like literal Puritan, not just like puritanical the way we use it as a pejorative nowadays, right? The actual Puritan Christian movement. And I mean, look, maybe I just grew up in the wrong era, but I can't wrap my head around how they fell into this trap of let's keep killing these 13 and 14-year-old girls because maybe they danced naked around a tree. Like that still seems antithetical to what your Bible would have told you to do, but maybe I'm wrong.
So, there's a couple theories on that. One is, there was a germ on the grain that they were using in their bread, and then this whole town was basically on this acid trip. I can't remember what it's called. Maybe somebody in the chat knows. But you add that with a little bit of religious zealotry, and part of the symptoms of that is like your body shakes, stuff like that. Some of the symptoms, but I call bullshit on that. Uh, okay, yeah, fungus among us. I thought it was a mold. It might be a fun. Yeah, ergot. He's got it,
Thank you,
and
Spoon.
yeah. So normally forms on like rye grain stuff like that, which was a heavy my favorite theory, the LSD brand. Stuff like that. So but one, you would think it wouldn't just be affecting a handful of girls, it would probably be affecting the whole town. Which, maybe if someone said,
If anything, I wouldn't think it would affect girls as much because from my experience with women is they like to stay away from carbs, so they wouldn't have even been eating the grain.
yeah. Well, but there's a lot of other things that went down where a lot of the people who got accused tend to owe a certain family money, or they were mean to the girls, or there was one girl who just straight up said like, I know these girls, they're lying, and then like a day later it was like, well, you know what, bitch, you're a witch. And so like it might have been like an amalgam of things where why all these people are uh committing these atrocities. But basically it all came to a screeching halt because it started to branch out into other towns, and then someone someone said, hey, the governor's wife is a witch, and then the governor was like, all right, that's quite enough of this. It was like, I didn't kill her, where you were killing each
Rules
other.
for me, but not for me. Once it gets up into
Yeah.
the high level of politics, which is really ironic considering we kind of live in a modern day witch hunt society.
Yeah,
It's
I was gonna say the governor was like, let's be unburdened by what has been. And I grew up in a middle class household. You're not killing my wife. Yes, but yes, there's definitely a modern day witch hunt in society, and it's everybody who doesn't
I need
reflect
to let the cat out real quick. I'm listening. Give me 1 sec, but keep going. I'm
yeah,
listening.
yeah, it's everybody who doesn't reflect a certain style of thinking, or subscribe to a certain political agenda, maybe a cultural Marxism, if you will. But yeah, those are the people running the show, and I hate it. They suck, and I wish that curses and magic did exist, because I'd be sitting around with a fucking voodoo doll every night, just sticking pins in motherfuckers, because it's getting really annoying. I'm
Well,
sick of being
the
policed.
real irony of this, though, is that, like, in your story, the governor's like, hey, maybe we should stop. But nowadays, it is the people at the top level of government who are actually like, eating babies and doing satanic witchcraft stuff.
Yeah.
It's the roles have sort of reversed here.
Uh-huh. They're like, oh, what are you drinking for the basketball game? Is that Gatorade? And they're like, no, it's adrenochrome. What are you drinking? And
Dr.
it's
Pepper.
oh yeah. They're like, well, wear a mask. I've never had Dr. Pepper, but
So do
hopefully.
you believe that and that there are because one of my favorite conspiracy theories that I 100% believe is that I don't remember if it was Alex Jones. It was Alex Jones or an Alex Jones-esque character who supposedly in the 90s filmed Bill Clinton and a bunch of other high-level politicians at some satanic pyre in the middle of the woods in the middle of the night. And there's like all this, and there's video of this on YouTube, but it's so old and 90s and blurry and grainy.
Yeah,
You can't actually
ingrained.
tell if like
Uh,
Bill Clinton's there or whatnot. But supposedly it is a full on satanic ritual being held in the woods by people that live and work in DC.
Leon, I'm gonna level with you. If it's a conspiracy theory that has to do with the Clintons, I believe it. Okay, like I was like, it is
Okay, it was Jones' contemporary. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't think it was Alex Jones, but I know Alex Jones has talked about this. But yeah, it was one of his. Or no, R2 is saying it was Jones, and so is
figure it out, chat.
Yes, Bohemian Grove. Thank you, Johnny Boy. It was Bohemian Grove.
All right.
Yeah, the amount of people that disappeared is like, don't get me wrong, a lot of them can be explained, but once that number gets so high, it's
Yeah.
it's sort of like the Cosby rape stuff. I was like, oh, for the first 3 women, I was like, nah, these bitches are lying. They just want his money. By like the 37th woman, I was like, oh, maybe he raped a couple. Like,
Yeah. You know, they'd be like, Bill, this drink tastes funny. He's like, shut your mouth. And you're like, oh, all right. Yeah, when you got people,
nice knowing you. I know you didn't unalive yourself. Godspeed. Yeah, we brought the Clintons in episode 1, 25 minutes in. This show is fucked.
well, yeah, no, I am not suicidal. But yeah, I don't care how popular you are. You don't know 50 people who committed suicide. That's just it's just too much.
Fuck,
Like
I really shouldn't have started the Leona grift, because now if I do get suicided by the Clintons, they'll just be like, no, he's just part of that 50% trans
yeah,
statistic.
yeah,
Like, it would be believable that I killed myself. Half my people do. Like,
yeah. Oh, and the
oh,
arrogance behind that, they want you to cater to everything that they do. They want to change the words that you say, and that would be like, I don't like where this chair is. I don't like the color that these curtains are. And then you fix all that shit and you go, hey, is that good for you? And they go, yeah, boom. And then everyone's just, that's
there was that case not too long ago of the dude who committed suicide, who was tied to a tree with the shotgun like 30 feet away.
yeah,
Like, that's really impressive. It harkens back because I remember thinking about Kurt Cobain's suicide, thinking that was really impressive because he had enough fucking heroin in his system to drop an elephant. You're telling me that motherfucker was able to put a gun in his mouth? She was like, no. Like, it's anytime someone commits suicide that's of any sort of notoriety, I'm immediately skeptical. Even if even if it was like Chester Bennington and people like that, I was like, I don't think that motherfucker actually killed himself.
yeah. Well, he was just him and what's his face were like on this big thing. They were about to expose like a bunch of shit too. From what I heard, that spoiler alert, Hollywood is corrupt and might like the company of children. So it's not a secret to say.
Can we bring cameras in? No. I picture like fucking Ocasio-Cortez being like, well, Joe Rogan doesn't allow phones in his comedy club either. Like,
oh yeah, some insane, not even adequate parallel. It's almost like there's a double standard, and it's funny that everybody in that club starts off like of regular means and leaves like a fucking billionaire.
Here's my conspiracy theory. Did you see Late Night with the Devil?
Yes.
Fucking amazing. It's been, if not my favorite movie of the year, at least my favorite horror movie of the year. Like hands down. Late Night with the Devil was an amazing movie. Part of me also believes that movie is trying to tell us something, because like that's how he got to the point where he did, and all his ratings coming back, and his wife getting canceled. Like, he was with these Hollywood elites and doing these secret meetings with literally summoning the devil. I'm like, is this an indie film that's trying to tell us what's happening with the elites, and we're just like supposed to be like, oh, eat the popcorn and watch the movie?
Oh yeah. I mean, I bought that as soon as it came out because I didn't get a chance to see it in theaters. But I was like, even the guy that they were alluding to, it was like he's a dead ringer for the head of the Church of Satan, and you know what I mean. It was like there was some obvious parallel.
What was that guy's name? Are you talking about the one from the 60s? Like, so there was the Church of Satan. There was Aleister Crowley in like the 1800s or whatever. But then there was the dude in the 60s who I don't remember the name of, who was a fucking weirdo. I've watched some documentaries on him. Like,
yeah,
really
the
cool
bald dude with the goatee.
Yeah, yes, that's exactly what I'm thinking of. I don't remember his name.
He looks like Ming the Merciless from the Flash
Hold on,
Gordon movie.
I got to know now.
LaVey. Anton LaVey.
Yes, Anton LaVey. Yep, that's
wow,
exactly
man.
correct.
We got a great chat.
You guys in chat know your shit. This is making our job so easy. Thank you.
But
yeah, Anton LaVey was a fucking character, dude. He's fascinating. I don't even really hate the guy so much so as I'm just like, how do you get to this level? Because like compare that to like Charles Manson, famous cult leader and whatnot, who by the way should never have gone to prison in my opinion. Hot fucking take. I do not think Charles Manson should have gone to prison. He didn't kill anybody. Also, even if he did convince a bunch of people to kill people, that's kind of because he was abducted by the CIA and fucking force fed LSD for like 6 years. So that's gonna do crazy shit to anybody. As someone who's taken a fair amount of LSD.
Yeah, yes, as someone who particularly enjoys LSD, if they would have just liked his songs and
Have you heard
but
his music though?
no, I haven't.
It's bad,
I
dude.
did see, and I was thinking about this the other day because it's always that thing. What if Hitler got into art school? And I looked up some paintings from Hitler, and they're not particularly good. I was like, actually, some of these are like amazing landscapes and like buildings. I guess it was just particularly frowned on at the time, but it was like the guy makes Bob Ross kind of looked like a chump. But I
Yeah,
was
no,
thinking
Hitler's art is not bad at all. Hold on, let me. I'm going to show you some of Charles Manson's music.
holy
Because fuck it if it gets copywritten. It's my show. Like it's my channel. It's not give a shit about my channel. It's not my show. It's my channel, and fucking copyright. You've got to hear this. It's kind of amazing.
There's a time for living. The time keeps on flying. Think you're loving, baby, and all you're doing is crying. Can you feel? Are those feelings real? Look at your game, girl. Look at your game, girl.
All right, now I get why you got so many like chicks with acid, like heads full of
right,
acid.
like when you hear that, look at your game, girl, and like, oh, this man also convinced a bunch of people to murder individuals. It just doesn't like the music's bad, but it's like just 60s acid bad. It's not egregious.
Yeah. He's not
What? GNR covered that song? Really? That's fucking funny.
I mean he's no Jim Croce, but the man has chops. But I do think he should have gone to jail. I just don't think he should have gone to jail for murder. But that reminds me. I'm obsessed with Ghost Hunters, the show. Not Ghost Hunters. What Ghost Adventures with Zach Baggins, because Zach Baggins is the biggest fucking douchebag. Him and Chris Angel, I'm sure they hang out. Like he's like,
God, that's a name I haven't heard in ages. Chris Angel. Now, Chris Angel is I'm not familiar with Ghost Adventures, at least not off the top of my head, but yes, Chris Angel is a douche canoe. Sorry, continue.
Okay. Well, imagine a guy of Chris Angel's more of the rock star type. Zach Baggins, like the way that his show used to start is like he had this voiceover. He's like, I never used to believe in ghosts until I came face to face with one. And like he's like this dick who would wear like a tap out shirt and walk into like a haunted house, and like he's like, we're gonna draw him out, like, come the fuck out, ghost.
Swear the fuck up, Casper. Like,
yeah, no, swear to God, there's one, I think it's like in his original documentary, he's sitting in the tub where this lady killed himself, and he's like, look, I'm like you, I'm slitting my wrist. And like, but he's full of shit, he's retarded. And there was one time they ran out of like haunted houses to go to, I guess, and they had a series called Ghost Adventures Artifacts, and like one of the things they had was each episode had 2 artifacts, and one was Bela Lugosi's mirror, which Bela Lugosi was just like this Hungarian guy. Like he
was a fucking actor. Like
yeah, he just played Dracula.
He wasn't actually Dracula, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. But so they bring up like, this is Bela Lugosi's mirror, and I shit you not, he goes, I'm a huge Bela Lugosi fan, and it was just like, shut up, no, you're not. But The second artifact that they
That was
had.
my thought, Peter Raymond fan site. You can never run out of haunted houses. Like,
Okay,
what
they
the
ran
fuck?
out. They ran out of haunted houses apparently because that's what they did. So it was basically crazy people would come in. It almost it became like an episode of Pawn Stars. Like, what do you got? And he's like, this was Charlie Daniels' lighter, and they're like, oh wow, oh okay, I'll give you 70 booze for it. That's the most I can do. But so the second item besides Bela Lugosi's mirror was Charlie Manson's son came in, and he's like, this is one of the televisions that Charlie Manson watched in jail. Now, at the time, Charlie Manson had not died. Charlie Manson was still alive. So, and he's like, oh my God, that's incredible. Does it feel like there's negative energy coming off the television? Was like, no, they made the jump to digital, so the bunny ears don't work anymore. But it was like, it's just a noise machine. But it was like, it's not fucking haunted. And then it ended with him like getting baptized in a river. Charlie Manson's son is like, ah! And then it was like, and it was fucking fantastic.
I love the fact that it's called Ghost Adventures, and he has to ask, is there dark energy coming off of it? Well, aren't you the expert? Shouldn't you know if there's dark energy coming off of it?
No, okay. Well, this was called Ghost Adventures: Artifacts. Okay, because
I don't want
now
to hear
they're
about. I don't want to hear about his colon. I'm gonna be real.
yeah.
He wears tap out shirts. I know
Bela
it means he eats
Lugosi's
a
dead.
lot of red
Huge
meat.
Bela Lugosi fan. Huge.
Oh man, that's amazing. Yeah, I recall he was alive still. I've never seen this show. I need to watch this now. This is
I
amazing.
think they're all on Hulu still. Artifacts is by far the best because, like, if you didn't think the guy was full of shit before, which just watch any episode, just any episode. You know, at least the Ghost Adventures, or not the Ghost, at least the Ghost Hunter guys, they come in and they have the equipment
the
and all this stuff.
EVP and
Yeah, like like you can tell like Zach Baggins comes in a van with like 3 of his bros, and he's like, all right, well, we're gonna scan. He's like, now what does that scanner do? He's like, how the fuck should I know, dude? It was like, you bought it. And it was like they're just fucking dudes in a van, like and eventually I think he ended up buying who were the people who did the Amityville house?
was that the Warrens the one that did Amityville?
Yeah, Elizabeth Warren and Sonia.
Sexy Sonia in his house.
But yeah, so he ended up buying their like bullshit museum. Jason,
they were straight up swindlers as well. Like they the Warrens is all bullshit. Like that is straight up grifting. Like we use grifting as a joke here in the space, but no, the Warrens were straight grifters, bro.
Yeah, no, so I feel like their daughter, who wanted like nothing to do with the situation, which that must have been rough, like, because the museum was in the basement of their house. And they were like, they would never let me play down there. It was like, oh yeah, it was good because they're basically fucking hoarders with junk. And they're like, no, don't tap the glass of this doll of the, it was like, yeah, you think the, what's the scary doll from the Annabelle? Yeah, the Annabelle doll. You think that it doesn't look like that? Okay, it's a Raggedy Ann doll.
It was a Raggedy Ann doll. Like the movie makes it to be this like fucking porcelain Chucky-esque doll. No, it was a fucking Raggedy Ann. Like, look. So I've got a story about a haunted doll, and I to this day believe it. I'm gonna sound retarded. 30-year-old man believing in a haunted doll. But me and my brother, my brother corroborates the story, and my father sort of does, but not really, because it was his doll as a child. So my dad was a kid in the 70s and whatnot, and he had this fucking ugly ass Santa doll. Like, just it looked demonic, dude. We called this thing possessed Santa as kids because it was like he wasn't wearing the big floppy suit or anything. Like it was. Imagine a elf on a shelf, but fat, and then with just like this giant plastic evil Ken doll, but Santa face. Like it's just a terrifying fucking Santa doll. And so me and my brother were up late one night. This is like 2005 or something. And it's Christmas season, and the doll is sitting like propped up against some presents under the tree, and we're playing Xbox, we're playing like Halo or ATV2 or some shit like that. And we see moving out of the corner of our eyes, and we look over, and we could swear the Santa doll is moving, but like when we looked at stopped. No, it's like some Toy Story shit, not moving anymore. So we're like, okay, we both saw that, but now nothing's happening. Whatever, let's move on. We go back to playing the game, and we see the movement again, and we look over, and he's leaning against a different fucking present. Like, I swear to Christ, he's leaning against a different present. And so we go tell our dad about this, and he's like, I've had this doll since I was a kid. You guys are making it up. You're scaring yourself silly, whatever. And like, after we go to tell the dad, our dad, we come back. We're like, okay, whatever. He doesn't believe us. We're dumb kids. We go and play video games again. We swear to Christ, the Santa doll blinked, which it should have been able to do because it was one of the painted on eyes. It blinked and its smile got bigger. We're like, fuck it, we're done. We went to the bedroom. Like, and my dad still has this doll and he keeps it in the fucking attic. And I'm like, okay, so you just kept this possessed Santa doll in your attic for the last 20 years. That's not going to piss it off or anything.
It's like a Robert the Doll situation for your dad where he's like, I can't, he's my best friend. Which they yeah, I don't like dolls. My sister always had her godfather would always buy her these crazy ass fucking dolls, you know, with like the glass eyes, and you know, like the sun would hit the room just right and they would like reflect and they would look like way too lifelike. And you know, so she would always just, you know, my mom would like set them out and like on the windowsill and shit, and she would like put them back in her closet because they freaked her out. But I remember one time I took a tape recorder. Like I had a Talkboy tape recorder. I don't know if you know what that is. It was
yes. You're only like 4 years older than me. Of course I know what that is.
All right. Yeah. For those who know their Home Alone 2 lore, and I just started recording like just random phrases and just like things like read my diaries. And you know, just and I just left it playing. Like I don't remember where I stashed it, but it was like buy the dolls. My mom had just like, I don't know why you keep putting these things in your closet. And then I was like sitting in my room reading a comic book, and I saw my sister just full on fucking sprint out of her bedroom. And I was just sitting there laughing my ass off.
We got him, boys.
No, like to this day, I haven't told her.
Wait, really? So she's gonna fucking watch the show and be like, "You son of a bitch!"
I'm waiting for a text. Was like, "You asshole."
Oh, that's amazing. My sister actually had do you remember the I think they were called like American Girl dolls, right? Like the really high quality porcelain ones. And she had like this shelf that went all around the perimeter of her room. And like every year for her birthday and for Christmas and for any like gift giving event, she would always get one American Girl doll, to the point where like she would slowly build out the collection. And I always thought they were awesome. They never scared me. They never terrified me. I did like the fear of dolls was never a thing for me. I saw Chucky when I was real young, thought it was super cool. And so I'm a toy collector. Like as you can tell, like this is nothing. I've got loads of old toys in storage just because I like having classic like rocking horses, things like that. And I remember I was with my first wife at the time, and we were at a flea market because we love going flea marketing. And I found this like vintage, beautiful, like Howdy Doody doll. And it was in great condition, still had the box, and they only wanted like $70 for it. And I was like, I'm buying this. I'm buying this right now. Like you talking a vintage Howdy Doody for $70? I'm all in. And it was one of the biggest fights me and my wife ever got into, because she was convinced that if we brought that thing home, that it would haunt us, that we would get murdered, that something bad would happen. Like, I don't know what it was that terrified her about this fucking, you know, just ventriloquist dummy, because I've never found ventriloquist dummies scary. And we had a fight in this fucking flea market. It was like, I just want to buy a toy, hun. Like,
yeah. It was like back when like COVID hit and they wanted to still make it look like restaurants were populated, so they're like, why don't we'll reduce the population, but we'll just put mannequins at the table. And I was like, dude, if I was in,
I keep a Furby in my bedroom, Nadia. I love Furbies.
Okay,
I keep a Furby in my bedroom
with their lifelike eyes. But yeah, I was just like sitting with my wife, and we were in this restaurant where there was like 3 mannequins at the table, and I kept going like, one of them's just gonna be like,
I promise that's what that Santa doll was doing, though. My dad didn't believe us. Dolls are cute, man. My mom got a 4-foot porcelain doll from an auction that was dressed as a bride, and she put a cross on it because Furbies were possessed. Okay, so back when I was like 4 or so years old, I didn't know my mom was a druggie when I was a kid. I didn't find out my mom was a druggie until I was about 10 or so. So my mom used to collect treasure trolls. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
Uh, and I don't know what her fascination with them was, but like they were all over our house and in the weirdest spots of our house as well. So again, my mother was a druggie. And I remember in the middle of the night, like my mom gets up freaking out and wakes me up, wakes my little sister up, and she's telling my dad, she's like, there's someone in the house. There's someone in the house. They're breaking in. So my dad gets up, gets the gun. He's looking around. And we don't have a big house. We were living in a fucking duplex at the time. It was like 2 bedrooms, maybe 2 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, a living room, and a kitchen. Like it was a tiny fucking house in small town rural America. And so he's like, yeah, I just checked the 4 rooms and there's no one here. And my mom, unironically, like not fucking with him, goes, no, it's one of my troll dolls.
No thanks.
I should have known then, but again, I was 4. But yeah, my mom must have been going through a moment with some drugs at that point.
Yeah, that's they
For her to
I don't
unironically say that one of the troll dolls is breaking into the house. First of all, even if that was true, what are they gonna do? They were like 2.5 inches tall. Step on the motherfucker. Like,
yeah. I mean, what could it possibly? What's going on with my mouse here?
now maybe it's possessed. Maybe we've been talking too much about all this ghost nonsense, and
no.
your mouse is like, oh, I'm gonna show
Oh,
you
no.
possession. Or that, or the battery's dead. I mean, I guess that could also be a just as plausible an explanation.
But
I love Puppet Master, Jay. Puppet Master is fucking great.
Puppet Master was great. I enjoyed. I enjoy most like B grade horror movies. It's when you get into some of the more realistic stuff, like okay, how Jason didn't scare me as a kid. Halloween scared me because it's plausible that someone, not Halloween 5, 6, 7, it's plausible that someone could break out of a mental institution and just, kill you. I mean, that seems pretty reasonable to me. I'm sure he wouldn't stalk you slowly. I'm sure he would say something about troll dolls and then, or Furbies.
I'm trying to think of what movies scared me as a kid. Fuck, the movie that scared me as a kid. If we're talking about things that like could realistically happen, because I was in maybe 6th grade or so when this movie came out, and of course, 6th grade. That's what 2000, somewhere between 4, 5, and 6, like somewhere around there, somewhere between 2004 and 2006. I'm in 6th grade, and global warming was all the fucking rage. Global warming, everyone, that's the news was talking about it. We're in this post 9/11 era. George Bush is losing control and shit. So like they're talking about global warming, and the movie The Day After Tomorrow comes out. And I thought that shit was a fucking documentary, dude. That movie, I was like, this could really happen. Like, that movie scared the shit out of me when I was in like 6th grade.
Oh, see, none of the realistic like things like that, I kind of knew we'd be long dead if any of that stuff happened. But yeah, I was scared of like Edward Scissorhands when I was a kid. He was just like too weird. I mean, I love the movie now.
Mars Attacks scared me as a kid.
Mars Attacks freaked me out too. It was simply when the woman comes in, where the Martian is like dressed up as a woman. He's got like the beehive haircut, and she bites off the president's or whoever's finger and then spits it in. That part was just too much. I mean, now again, I love the movie, but
what got me with that movie was again, I must have been, I wasn't in school yet, so I was like around maybe 4 years old or so. And it's that duplex I was talking about with the troll dolls. So my grandmother lived in the other half of the duplex, and so my mom and little sister and I were all over at my grandma's house. And I'm like 4 years old. It's the middle of summer. I want a popsicle. And so I ran back over to our side where all the lights were off, Home Alone, whatever. And the TV was on and Mars Attacks was playing. And so I'm like, oh, just run past the TV. These aliens are freaky. I grab the popsicle and I go to try and leave. but my hands are all wet from the condensation, my little 4-year-old hand, so I can't twist the knob. And it's the scene where the Martian shoots the bird. It's like, yak, yak, when they're like releasing the doves. And so I just see this bird get fried and these freaky ass aliens celebrating it. And my little 4-year-old hands couldn't open this door because they're all wet. And I was just like stuck in this room with this movie playing. And I didn't watch that movie again until I was literally an adult. And now I love it. But like, I went from 4 to like 24, having never seen Mars Attacks.
I mean, there were it was more there were parts of movies that would scare the shit out of me. So like a movie that I loved growing up was Hook. But but like there's the scene where like the kids get kidnapped and like the old lady's crying, like it came in the night and the children were screaming. There was that, and then there was the fucking Boo Box where they grab the dude and put him in a box and start putting scorpions in the box. Like that freaked me right the fuck out when I was a kid.
Mad Hatter, Changeling is one of my favorite horror movies. It doesn't scare me, but it is unnerving. Like it's creepy. Yeah, Changeling is great. Don't Look Under the Bed had me terrified as a kid. In terms of moments in movies that are scary, now this one never scared me, but it is a well-made scary scene in the first Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie when like Aunt May is doing the prayer and Green Goblin breaks in and he's all like, finish it. It's like telling her to finish the prayer, and she's like screaming, "Deliver us!" Like that is a horror movie scene in a superhero movie. It is so fucking good.
I'll tell you what, another part in that movie that makes me jump every single time is when the Green Goblin's feigning to be an old woman stuck in the fire, and he turns around and goes, "Bah!" and like punches him in the face. Like that part makes me go, whoop! Like another part that makes me jump every single time that I watch this movie is when the cat gets shot in Boondock Saints. I always
I shouldn't laugh at that. Sorry, it's like I didn't expect you to go there. Sorry, continue.
No, it's not. It doesn't even scare me or anything. It's just the scene is so good. I keep getting lost in the conversation that the characters are having, and then the gun goes off, and I was like, every fucking time. Like,
yeah, Serranos. I watched Jurassic Park probably around the same age, and it didn't scare me so much because I knew dinosaurs were extinct. It was more one of those like, Jurassic Park enthralled me as a kid because that's one of the first movies that like made me think about how movies were made because like, how did you do this?
I'll still say that the kitchen scene with the raptors is still one of the most tense scenes I've ever seen in a movie.
That's a fantastic scene. Did you ever read the books out of curiosity?
Oh yes, I love. No, I didn't. Have I read The Lost World? I've definitely read Jurassic Park.
Lost World isn't as good as Jurassic Park, but both are fine. But Lost World, he had to sort of like retcon some shit, like for example, Ian Malcolm's, because in the Jurassic Park, Malcolm fucking dies, except for Lost World. Oh no, he doesn't, because everyone had seen the movie and they wanted fucking Jeff Goldblum alive and shit. So like, there's some retcons that I'm not a big fan of, but all in all, the books are both awesome. I love the books.
Yeah, the books are awesome. I mean, and Jeff Goldblum is phenomenal in that role. I could see why.
I have that Jeff Goldblum like in the whole shirtless pose, like on the bed up on my wall over there. Probably, I don't know what the gayest decoration I have is, that or the Marilyn Monroe I have on my wall right there. Like one of the two.
I mean, I don't think it's gay to have a picture of Marilyn Monroe. She was hot.
Thank you. See, I thought the same thing.
Although she is like I don't know. There's a lot of people who are like gay icons where I was like, I also appreciate them, but for different reasons. What was I gonna say? Jeff Goldblum. He did the same thing that Robert Downey Jr. did for like Tony Stark, where he brought like a lot more like humor and personality into the role, where they're like, no, we can't get rid of Ian Malcolm.
Malcolm's just kind of a dickhead in the books. Like he's not funny or anything. He's just kind of a prick.
He's more of the brainy guy, but it was like, hey, there actually are going to be dinosaurs on this tour, right? And and then he's like, I really, really hate that man. And it was like, you love him, you gotta love him. It's fucking phenomenal. I don't remember. It was like, because I haven't seen any of the new Jurassic Park movies, but I'm pretty sure like they're not even like dinosaurs anymore. Like they're just I guess
I
technically they weren't dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. They were dinosaur shaped mutants. When you really think about it, but like now they're just like inventing different species.
well, so the new ones, I saw Jurassic World and I hated it. And I was like, I'll give the second one a shot. And I kind of wish dinosaurs were real. I would throw myself into a Harambe style dinosaur cage after watching it. So I didn't even bother with the third one, which is the one where they got like the whole cast back together. And apparently the bad guys were like locusts. Like that was the big threat. It wasn't even really dinosaurs. It was like locusts or moths or something.
Yeah, I don't remember Jurassic Park 3. I just knew eventually, just with the
I
progression
love
thing.
Jurassic Park 3. Jurassic Park 3 is one of those 80s so bad it's good movies, but from the 2000s. Like that's what
I'll have to
Jurassic
give
Park
it a
3 is.
rewatch. I knew it was going to be coming to the city, like yeah, you know, it was just like so. Eventually,
No,
it
no,
was
so Jurassic Park 3 takes place on the original island, the island from the first Jurassic Park.
Sola Nublar. Or
Yeah. So the Jurassic Park 2, it comes to the city in like the last 10 minutes and it's gay and dumb and stupid.
that's all right. That's right.
But in Jurassic Park 3, basically this kid and his uncle are like parasailing over the original island, and their line comes unhooked and they crash land. Dinosaurs get the uncle immediately. We don't know what happens to the kid, and so the kid's parents hire Alan, blanking on his name, Sam Jackson.
Worthington.
No, it's not Worthington that plays
No,
Alan.
not Worthington. It's Sam. There's some. No, not Sam Elliott. Who's it? Sam?
Point is, they hire
Yeah.
Alan to go back and lead an expedition to find the son, and shenanigans ensue. And it's stupid, but it's really fucking fun.
Sam O'Neill. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Is it Sam Neill? Not O'Neill, just
Sam
Neill.
Neill.
Sam Neill. Yeah. Alan Grant's the character. I was bothering me. So when you rewatch the first Jurassic Park, because I went to the theatrical re-release to see it last summer when it for like its 30th anniversary, and I did not realize how much Sam Neill's his New Zealand accent slips in and out during that fucking movie. It's kind of bad.
Yeah. No. He absolutely needs to be in a proper situation for his movies to I actually liked him in what's the crazy
Event
fucking
Horizon?
movie. Thank you. That
I fucking love Event Horizon.
Event
Yo,
Horizon.
Niat's here. How you doing, Niat?
Yeah. How are you? Niat was all over the place. He was in Japan, and then let's see. What is Goodwin saying? Sam Neill is in a lot of questionable horror movies.
Really?
He plays
He's in that one
grown up
John Carpenter movie
Damien.
that was really good.
Which movie?
He was in a John Carpenter movie that was really good, but I don't remember the name of it. It's like John Carpenter's like worst performing movie, but it's really fucking good. Oh, it's bothering me. Oh, sorry to hear that, brother, man. He was best in Event Horizon. Oh, yeah, thank you. In the Mouth of Madness.
Madness. Yep.
Mouth of Madness.
Oh, well, it makes sense that you're
Just
sick.
fucking
You've been in
on
enough
point
airports.
today. Every single time one of us have been like, I don't remember X. Just that string of you guys be like, hey, retards,
Yeah.
you're talking about this.
Yes. It was like you're all our guy in the chair. Thank you. Yeah, in the Mouth of Madness. Yeah, he is one of those actors where if utilized correct, he's great. But I don't know. I'm kind of lukewarm on the guy. Did he ever play a witch?
I imagine in real life, because he's been divorced like 3 times, I think. So he probably married several.
Yeah, well, he's yep.
Yeah, Sammy just said that. I didn't know that. I've only seen like the original Omen. That's the only movie in the whole Omen's trilogy series that I've seen was the
Because
first
he's good at looking in the camera and like doing this. And, like,
to be fair, Hayden Christensen's good at that too. Like if you watch like Revenge of the Sith and don't pay attention to because let's be real, None of them are doing very great in terms of their acting in that movie because it's not very well directed, even though I love it. If you just let Hayden Christensen act with his face, he's really fucking good.
Yes, actually, you know, a lot of people think that Hayden Christensen is so poorly received because of his acting. I was like, no, he's kind of supposed to be an angsty little bitch. You know, that was the direction he was given. I didn't have a problem with his performance, more of
I didn't either.
the
I've been a
dialogue coming out of his
Christensen
mouth.
defender since 2005.
You know, and that's because George Lucas notoriously cannot write good dialogue. I always use it.
I'm okay with that. I don't need Star Wars dialogue to be good. I just don't need it to be modern.
Yeah, well, you know, something has to be good. You know what I mean? No, that was the problem with The Acolyte, where nothing was good. You know, there were things, and I'll give credit where credit was due. I thought like the lightsaber at the end of the show was cool, but you know, it was the more lesbian space witches, and you know, the ship catching.
There we
on
go.
fire.
We brought it back to witches. The show is about the Malleus, Maleficarum. We're supposed to bring it back to
Yeah,
witches. How the fuck
it
of all
rhymes.
things to bring us back to witches was it fucking The Acolyte?
The Acolyte, and because it was Agatha all along.
All along.
All along was her. But they there has to be something that stands out that makes it good. So like there's certain things in Revenge of the Sith that I very much enjoy, and then you kind of like repress the other shit. Just like in Return of the Jedi, like I think the Ewoks are the dumbest fucking thing.
I love Ewoks. I will defend them till the day I fucking die. I love Ewoks. Do you remember the old Ewoks 80s cartoon?
Yes, I do. I don't remember it well, but
cell from that animation framed hanging in my kitchen.
dear sweet
Like
God.
an original cell used in the production. I loved the Ewoks cartoon. I fucking love Return of the Jedi is my favorite Star Wars movie. Like I'm a diehard Ewok fan. And I've told this story before, but I got into a fucking fight, like a physical fight with a group of Ewoks at a comic convention one time.
Were they like throwing rocks at you and shit? And
No, I accidentally hit one of them's girlfriend with a pool cue while playing pool, and I was drunk as shit, and I said some rude shit to her, and so she went and got her boyfriend and a bunch of his friends who had come to the con dressed all as Ewoks, and so it was like me and my crew versus these fucking teddy bears that we're about to send back to Toys R Us, and we all got kicked out.
yeah, Teddy Ruxpin looking motherfucker, bring your shit. To be fair though, I'm not going to take anybody talking shit dressed up like an Ewok.
Yeah, I didn't take it seriously at all. Like I couldn't even tell how big the dude was under the suit because it's a fucking Ewok suit. He just looked short and fat. Maybe he had muscle definition. I don't know, but I wasn't afraid to throw hands with the teddy bear, bro. I really wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, you know, but you got to keep in mind, like, you know, panda bears are cute, but they're still bears. Like, you know, they'll rip your fucking head off.
Really? So I thought the panda bears like couldn't. They're not even really. So scientists are still trying to, at least last I read on this, dictate whether they should be qualified as bears because they actually don't meet like of the 10 or whatever qualifications to be considered a bear, pandas actually only meet like 7 of them. And so scientists really don't know what to qualify them as. So they say bear because it's the closest thing that they are, but they don't actually meet every qualification to be a bear.
It's a wild animal. It'll fucking kill you. You know.
Oh my God, the VP debate is on. Do we want to react to it?
Why not?
Let's do it. I didn't know that was tonight. You would think I would, considering my fucking penchant for political stuff. But all right, let's see if where can we find it?
Oh, I'm thrilled about this.
Oh, all right. Let's
Speaking
do
of witches.
It. Just me. All right.
Who will win, couch fucker or horse jizz?
Down now to 1 or 2 weeks' time. Governor Walz, if you were the final voice in the Situation Room, would you support or oppose a preemptive strike by Israel on Iran? You have 2 minutes.
Well, thank you. And thank you for those joining at home tonight. Let's keep in mind where this started. October 7th, Hamas terrorists massacred over 1,400 Israelis and took prisoners. Israel's ability to be able to defend itself is absolutely fundamental. Getting its hostages back, fundamental, and ending the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. But the expansion of Israel and its proxies is an absolute fundamental necessity for the United States to have the steady leadership there. You saw it experienced
Holy
today.
shit, he's actually being honest. Hey, America needs
Israeli
Israel to
partners
expand
and
for
our
a global
coalition
power
able to
structure.
stop the incoming attack. But what's
It's a
fundamental
lot
here
easier
is
than the
that steady
flyover
leadership
Steve.
is going to matter. It's clear, and the world saw it on that debate stage a few weeks ago. A nearly 80-year-old Donald Trump talking about crowd sizes is not what we need in this moment.
Vance,
It's
why are you
not
wearing a
just that.
fuchsia
It's those
tie?
that were
Not on the
closest to
first
Donald
episode, but
Trump
we'll bring up people
that
on
understand how
later
dangerous
episodes.
he
The
is
first
when the
episode, we
world
keep me
is
and
this
Sammy.
dangerous.
I appreciate
His
you,
chief
though.
of staff, John Kelly,
Oh, we're
said that he
definitely
was the
going to
most
be
flawed
bringing
human being
people
he'd ever
on.
met. And both of his secretaries of defense and his national security advisors said he should be nowhere near the White House. Now, the person closest to them,
Oh, you mean
Donald
the people
Trump
that have been saying
said
that Trump's
he's
a threat for
unfit for
years
the
say he shouldn't be
highest
near the
office.
White
That was
House
Senator
because
Vance.
they're in cahoots with
What
the
we've
people that want to
seen
run the
out
world?
of Vice President
fucking
Harris
guy.
is we've seen steady leadership. We've seen a calmness that is able to draw on the coalitions to bring them together.
That's because they grew up in middle class
that
households.
our allies matter.
When
When our allies see Donald Trump turn towards Vladimir Putin, turn towards North Korea, when we start to see that type of fickleness around holding the coalitions together, we will stay committed. And as the vice president said today we will protect our forces and our allied forces, and there will be consequences.
Governor, your time is up. Senator Vance, the same question. Would you support or oppose a preemptive strike by Israel on Iran? You have 2 minutes.
So, Margaret, I want to answer the question. First of all, thanks, Governor. Thanks to CBS for hosting the debate. And thanks, most importantly, to the American people who are watching this evening and caring enough about this country to pay attention to this vice presidential debate. I want to answer the question, but I want to actually give an introduction to myself a little bit because I recognize a lot of Americans don't know who either one of us are. I was raised in a working class family. My mother required food assistance for periods of her life. My grandmother required
Did he just
Social
say he was
Security
raised in
help
a
to
middle
raise
class
me,
family?
and she raised me in part because my own mother struggled with addiction for a big chunk of my early life. I went to college on the GI Bill after I enlisted in the Marine Corps and served in Iraq. And so I stand here asking to be your vice president with extraordinary gratitude for this country, for the American dream that made it possible for me to live my dreams.
At least he's
and most
speaking better
importantly,
than Walls.
I know that a lot of you are worried about the chaos in the
at least
world
they
and
were
the
both
feeling that the American dream is unattainable. I want to try to convince you tonight over the next 90 minutes that if we get better leadership in the White House, if we get Donald Trump back in the White House, the American dream is going to be attainable once again. Now, to answer this particular question, we have to remember that as much as Governor Walz just accused Donald Trump of being an agent of chaos, Donald Trump actually delivered stability in the world, and he did it by establishing effective deterrence. People were afraid of stepping out of line. Iran, which launched this attack, has received over $100 billion in unfrozen assets thanks to the Kamala Harris administration. What do they use that money for? They use it to buy weapons that they're now launching against our allies, and God forbid, potentially launching against the United States as well. Donald Trump recognized that for people to fear the United States, you needed peace through strength. They needed to recognize that if they got out of line, the United States global leadership would put stability and peace back in the world. Now, you asked about a preemptive strike, Margaret, and I want to answer the question. Look, it is up to Israel what they think they need to do to keep their country safe, and we should support our allies wherever they are when they're fighting the bad guys. I think that's the right approach to take with the Israel question.
Okay, but what kind of support?
Senator.
What kind of financial? Are we talking moral?
Do you care to respond to any of the allegations?
Well, Donald Trump was in office. We'll sometimes hear a revisionist history, but when Donald Trump was in office, it was Donald Trump who we had a coalition of nations that had boxed Iran's nuclear program in, the inability to advance it.
I'm still on
Donald Trump pulled that program and put nothing else in its place. So Iran is closer to a nuclear weapon than they were before because of Donald Trump's fickle leadership. And when Iran shot down an American aircraft in international airspace, Donald Trump tweeted, because that's the standard diplomacy of Donald Trump. And when Iranian missiles did fall near U.S. troops and they received traumatic brain injuries, Donald Trump wrote it off as headaches. Look, our allies
Why does Tim have a
understand
frog mouth?
that Donald Trump is
He
fickle.
needs to
He
hop
will
across
go
the
to
road to
whoever
collect all
has
the
the most
forgotten
flattery
children.
or where it makes sense to him. Steady leadership like you witnessed today, like you witnessed in April. Both Iranian attacks were repelled. Our coalition is strong, and we need the steady leadership that Kamala Harris is providing.
Senator Vance, the U.S. did have a diplomatic deal with Iran
Oh my
to
God,
temporarily pause
she's
parts
wearing
of
the
its
same
nuclear
color.
program,
He's
and
wearing the
President
same color
Trump did
tie as
exit
like her,
that deal.
like
He
pantsuit.
recently said, just 5 days ago, the U.S. must now make a diplomatic deal with Iran because the consequences are impossible. Did he make a mistake? You have 1 minute.
Well, first of all, Margaret, diplomacy is not a dirty word, but I think that's something that Governor Walz just said is quite extraordinary. You yourself just said Iran is as close to a nuclear weapon today as they have ever been. And Governor Walz, you blame Donald Trump, who has been the vice president for the last 3.5 years. And the answer is your running mate, not mine. Donald Trump consistently made the world more secure. Now, we talk about the sequence of events that led us to where we are right now.
Look, I'll be real. My vote just goes to whoever
October
has
the 7th,
the better
which I appreciate Governor Walz bringing up. But when did Iran and Hamas and their proxies attack Israel? It was during the administration of Kamala Harris. So
I'm Irish. I like the
fan
fan of the
Donald Trump's
ever-growing forehead.
Effective, smart diplomacy and peace through strength is how you bring stability back to a very broken world. Donald Trump has already done it once before. Ask yourself at home, when was the last time, I'm 40 years old, when was the last time that an American president didn't have a major conflict break out? The only answer is during the 4 years that Donald Trump was president.
Gentlemen, we have a lot to get to. Nora?
Margaret, thank you. Let's turn now to Hurricane Helene. The storm could become one of the deadliest on record. More than 160 people are dead and hundreds more are missing.
Did you see that guy?
Scientists say climate change makes these hurricanes
that,
larger,
the hurricane was targeting white towns out of revenge
because
for
of
slavery.
the historic rainfall.
Well, okay,
Senator Vance,
no, I
according
did,
to
but she
CBS
said
News
it could
polling,
become one of the
7
deadliest in history because over 130 people are dead.
60% of Republicans under the age of 45 favor the U.S. taking steps to try and reduce climate change. Senator, what
but that was because
responsibility
like failures
would the
in
Trump administration
infrastructure
have to
and stuff
try
like that,
and
too.
reduce?
Right, but my
the
point is, she
impact
said this could be one of the
climate change?
deadliest.
I'll give you 2 minutes.
Sure. So first of all, let's
it's like when 4 people died, they call it a mass shooting. You know,
like tragedy. I just saw today actually a photograph of 2 grandparents on a roof with a 6-year-old child, and it was the last photograph that was taken of them because the roof collapsed and those innocent people lost their lives. And I'm sure Governor Walz joins me in saying our hearts go out to those innocent people, our prayers go out to them, and we want as robust and aggressive as a federal response as we can get to save as many lives as possible. And then, of course, afterwards, to help the people in those communities rebuild. I mean, these are communities that I love. Some of them I know very personally.
I've never heard Vance
all across the Southeast. They need their government to do their job.
Usually when I hear him speak, it's
when
in
Donald
short
Trump is president again, the government will put the citizens of this country first when they suffer from a disaster.
Yeah.
And Nora, you asked about climate change. I think this is a very important issue. Look, a lot of people are justifiably worried about all these crazy weather patterns. I think it's important for us, first of all, to say Donald Trump and I support clean air, clean water. We want the environment to be cleaner and safer. But one of the things that I've noticed some of our Democratic friends talking
and it's still
a lot
on
about
theme because there's a
concern
witch
about
running for
carbon
president.
Emissions, this idea that carbon emissions drives all of the climate change. Well, let's just say that's true, just for the sake of argument, so we're not arguing about weird science. Let's just say that's true.
Yeah, there's nothing to argue about.
Well,
what would you want to do?
For him,
the answer is that you want to reshore as much American manufacturing as possible, and you want to produce as much energy as possible in the United States of America because we're the cleanest economy in the entire world. What have Kamala Harris's policies actually led to? More energy production in China, more manufacturing overseas, more doing business in some of the dirtiest parts of the entire world. And when I say that, I mean the amount of carbon emissions they're doing per unit of economic output. So if we actually care about getting cleaner air and cleaner water, the best thing to do is to double down and invest in American workers and the American people. Unfortunately, Kamala Harris has done exactly the opposite.
Governor Walz, you have 2 minutes to respond.
Well, we got close to an agreement because all those things are happening. Look, first of all, It is a horrific
like, oh, there's a
tragedy,
girl with 2 heads being
with
born.
this hurricane, and my heart goes out to the
There's
folks that are down
more
there.
interactions, more people are fucking where you can get that result. You know,
co-chair of the Council of
But
Governors,
see,
as we
I
work
can make the
together on
argument
these
that it's
emergency
the
management
most
governors,
populated, country in the world.
They work
Can't you just
together
like
to
hire
solve
a
the
few of them
governors
to
and
be
the emergency
janitors?
responders on the ground. Those
I
happen
get it.
on
You
the
all want
front
to be
end.
doctors that work
The
in call
federal
centers,
government
but
comes
something
in,
you
makes
can
sure
put on
they're
the
there
rubber
to
fucking gloves.
recover, but we're still in that phase
no
where
shit.
we need to make sure that they're staying there, staying focused.
Uday
Now,
lay
look, coming
elephant
back to the
shit
climate
isn't
change
what
issue,
I
there's
want
no
to be
doubt this
smelling
thing
most of
roared
the
onto
days,
the
right?
scene faster and stronger
I
than
mean, it's still
anything
better
we've
than their
seen.
food.
Senator Vance has said that there's a
No
climate
thanks.
problem in the past. Donald Trump called it a hoax and then joked that these things would make more beachfront property to be able to invest in. What we've seen out of the Harris administration now, the Biden-Harris administration, is we've seen this investment.
He got
We've
him
seen
saying
massive
Harris
investments, the
administration.
biggest in global history that we've seen in the Inflation Reduction Act, has created jobs all across the country. 2,000 in
Who built the
Jeffersonville,
cages, Joe?
Ohio, taking the EV technology that we invented and making it here. 200,000 jobs across the country. The largest solar manufacturing plant.
Yeah, but who's going to get those jobs out of curiosity? Is it going to be American citizens, or is it going to be those fucking border hoppers you guys are letting in?
Droughts, 500-year floods back to back. But what they're doing is adapting, and this has allowed them to tell me, look, I harvest corn, I harvest soybean, and I harvest wind. We are producing
great
more
question,
natural
Toronto.
gas
We did have
and
those
more oil at
100,000
any
jobs
time
you
than we ever
invented.
have. We're also producing more clean energy. So the solution for us is to continue to move forward, that climate change is real. Reducing our impact is absolutely critical, but this is not a false choice. You can do that at the same time you're creating the jobs that we're seeing all across the country. That's exactly what this administration has done.
Where are these jobs all?
An energy superpower.
You live pretty close to Detroit. Tell me, how are things going up there?
Absolutely makes sense. And then we start thinking
about as well as they've
ever
been doing, to be honest. You know.
Thank you, Senator. I want to give you an opportunity to respond there. The governor mentioned that President Trump has called climate change a hoax. Do you agree?
Well, look, what the president has said is that if the Democrats, in particular,
what's up,
Kamala
dude?
Harris
Appreciate you being
and
here,
her
buddy.
leadership, if they really believe that climate change is serious, what they would be doing is more manufacturing and more energy production in the United States of America, and that's not what they're doing.
Bingo, bango,
So
bongo,
clearly,
straight turn
Kamala
around
Harris
on him,
herself
motherfucker.
doesn't believe her own.
You had the
rhetoric on this.
bongo.
If she
I always
did,
just throw
she would
bingo
actually agree
bango.
with Donald Trump's energy policies. Now, something Governor Walz said I
I like
think is
it.
important to touch upon.
Thank you.
because
I won't
when we
lie. I
talk
ripped it
about
off of the
clean
Spider-Man video
energy,
game
I
from
think
like
that's a
1999.
slogan that often the
I
Democrats
probably
will use
got it
here.
from there as
I'm talking,
well.
of course, about the Democratic leadership. And the real issue is that if you're spending hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars of American taxpayer money,
He looks
on
like a
solar
giant
panels that are
baby
made
with
in
a beard.
China, number one, you're going to make the economy
Like
dirtier. We should
Boss
be
Baby
making more
grew
of those
up.
solar panels
Yeah,
here in
he
the United
is.
States of America. Some of them are, Tim, but a lot of
See,
them
I
are
was
being
more
made
thinking he looks like
overseas
the
in China,
singer from
especially the components that go into
Papa
those
Roach
solar
if he
panels.
never
So
became a
if you
musician.
really want to make
Nice.
the environment cleaner, you've got to
Yeah, so
invest in
Tim
more
versus
energy
Don
production.
Rickles.
We haven't built a
Yeah.
nuclear facility, I
That's
think,
the-
one in the past 40 years.
Cut
Natural
taxes
gas,
into
we got to invest
pieces.
more in it.
This is
Kamala
my
Harris
last.
has done the opposite. That's raised
I don't
energy
know what
More
prices,
taxes
also
inflation.
meant that we're
No
damaged
Governor,
breeze.
by
your
the
time
climate.
is up. Governor, would you like to respond?
Well, look, we're producing more natural gas than we ever have. There's no moratorium on that. We're producing more oil. But
Me
folks
too.
know,
I had
and
Thai food.
Like I said again, these are not liberal folks. These are not folks that are Green New Deal folks. These are farmers that have been drought one
Yeah,
year,
chubby kid.
massive flooding the next year. They understand that it makes sense. Look, our number one export cannot be topsoil from erosion from these massive storms. We saw it in Minnesota.
No,
this
our number
summer.
one export used to be
And
cultural
thinking
exports,
about
like
how do
fucking
we
media,
respond to
and then
that,
you guys
we're
fucked all that
thinking
up, and
ahead on
China's
this.
like,
What
yeah, we
Kamala
don't
Harris
want
has
it
been able
anymore.
to do in Minnesota.
Yeah.
We're starting to
we know
weatherproof
like
some of
he
these
trans
things. The
people.
infrastructure law that was passed allows us to think about
You
mitigation
have your
in the
non-time?
future.
No,
How do we make
no,
sure
no,
that
no,
we're
no, no.
protecting by burying our power
Not
lines?
till you
How do we
figure
make
out what
sure
the fuck
that we're
you are.
protecting lakefronts and things that we're seeing more and more of? But to call it a hoax and to take the oil company executives to Mar-a-Lago, say, give me money for my campaign, and I'll let you do whatever you want. We can be smarter about that. And an all
Every
above
time he
energy
says
policy
look,
is
it's a
exactly what she's
lie.
doing, creating those jobs right
That's
here.
a fucking poker
Governor,
tell.
your time is up. The overwhelming consensus among scientists is that the Earth's climate is warming at an unprecedented rate. Margaret?
Yeah, that's
Thank
the
you,
overwhelming
Nora.
consensus
We're
among
gonna
scientists.
turn
You want to know
now
what the other
to
overwhelming
immigration.
consensus
The
among
crisis
scientists
at the
was that
US-Mexico
butter
border
caused heart failure. You want to
consistently
why? Because the
ranks as
scientists
one
were
of the
paid off by
top
the sugar
issue
industry
for
for about
American
60
voters.
fucking years.
Senator
Fuck me
Vance,
for not trusting
your
the science.
campaign
You
is
fucking
pledging to
losers.
carry out
By
the
the way, like
largest
the
mass
Earth goes through
deportation plan
phases.
in American history.
One of them was
and
called the
to
Ice
use the
Age.
US
That's when the
military
world got
to
really
do so.
cold. if you really wanted to change like our carbon emissions, you would be going after these third world countries and, you know, like the ones that actually don't give a shit.
Children who were born on U.S. soil.
Well, it's amazing. Like, look, this is anecdotal, but September is supposed to be the one of the hottest months in the year where I live. October or August and September are the hottest months of the year. This September, we had multiple weeks in the fucking 70s when usually it's the 90s. Tell me more about global fucking warming.
Oh, and I'm sure when it got even near 80, like on the map that they use, like, you know, for the weather on the news, they got into the red when normally it'd be like green.
Opioid addiction and has gotten clean. I don't want people who are struggling with addiction to be deprived of their second chance because Kamala Harris let in fentanyl into our communities at record levels. So you've got to stop the bleeding. You've got to re-implement Donald Trump's border policies, build the wall, re-implement deportations. And that gets me to your point, Margaret, about what do we actually do? So we've got 25 million illegal aliens who are here in the country. What do we do with them? I think the first thing that we do is we start with the criminal migrants. About 1 million of those people have committed some form of crime.
He's trying to play nice by saying criminal migrants. He should call them what they are, criminal aliens. Then the media would come after him.
I think you make it harder.
Vance is trying to toe the line really hard here. And part of me appreciates it. Part of me is like, nah, just go whole hog, dude.
For less than minimum wage in our own country. And by the way, that'll be really good for our workers who just want to earn a fair wage for doing a good day's work. And the final point, Margaret, is you ask about family separation. Right now in this country, Margaret, we have 320,000 children.
Bingo, bango,
the Department of Homeland Security has effectively lost. Some of them have been sex trafficked. Some of them hopefully are at homes with their families. Some of them have been used as drug trafficking mules. The real family separation policy in this country is unfortunately Kamala Harris's wide open southern border. And I'd ask my fellow Americans to remember when she came into office, she said she was going to do this. Real leadership would be saying, you know what? I screwed up. We're going to go back to Donald Trump's border policies. I wish that she would do that. It would be good for all of us.
Governor,
do you care to respond to any of the specific
allegations, including that the vice president is, quote, letting in fentanyl and using kids as drug mules, among other
things? That's right. Adjust your earpiece. You need to know what to say. Adjust your earpiece.
About the fentanyl, because this is a crisis of this, the opioid crisis. And the good news on this is the last
12 months saw
the largest decrease in opioid deaths in our nation's history. 30% decrease in Ohio, but there's still more work to do. But let's go back to this on immigration. Kamala Harris was the attorney general of the largest state and border state.
And what's the other half?
She's the only person in this race who prosecuted transnational gangs for human trafficking and drug interventions. But look, we all want to solve this. Most of us want to solve this. And that is the United States Congress. That's the Border Patrol agents.
What about all your the squad? Does the squad want to solve it, or are they fucking
the fairest and the toughest bill on immigration that this nation's seen? It was crafted by a conservative.
I kind of like the pink tie, though. Not going to front. I think it's a good look.
Conservative, but he's a man of principle. Wants to get it done. Democrats and Republicans worked on this piece of legislation. The Border Patrol said this is what we need in here. These are the experts. And the Chamber of Commerce and the Wall Street Journal said pass this thing. Kamala Harris helped get there. 1,500 new border agents, detection for drugs, DOJ money to speed up these the adjudications on this, just what America wants. But as soon as I was getting
that's exactly right, Jason.
Donald Trump said no, told them to vote against it because it gives him a campaign issue. It gives him
he told them to vote no because it had like several $1 billion in the bill for Ukraine. It was supposed to be a border bill for here in America, and they stuck shit in there about giving money to Ukraine and Israel. Don't fucking play that game, you faggot ass lying piece of potato head looking shit.
To do this, and he promised you, America, how easy it would be. I'll build you a big, beautiful wall, and Mexico will pay for it.
That's what I just said, Matt Hatter. Fucking
exactly. That wall got built, and Mexico didn't pay a dime. But here we are again, 9 years after he came down.
No way. I didn't know that, Hostman.
Dehumanizing people and telling him what he was going to do. As far as the deportation plan, at one point, Senator Vance said it was so unworkable to be laughable. So that's where we're at. Pass the bill.
I love politics, bro.
Governor, your time is up. Senator, the question was, will you separate parents from their children, even if their kids are U.S. citizens? You have 1 minute.
Margaret, my point is that we already have massive child separations thanks to Kamala Harris's open border. And I didn't accuse Kamala Harris of inviting drug mules. I said that she enabled the Mexican drug cartels to operate freely in this country. And we know that they use children as drug mules, and it is a disgrace, and it has to stop. Look, I think what Tim
Walz
just
like really needs to stop nodding his head in approval of shit that Vance is saying.
Well, I think he's worried that his little pieces are going to fall off because he's Mr. Potato Head.
We had a record number of illegal crossings.
Yeah, that's true.
Number of fentanyl coming into our country.
I'm Picasso.
Now that she's running for president, or a few months before, she says that somehow she got religion and cared a lot about a piece of legislation. The only thing that she did when she became the vice president, when she became the appointed border czar, was to undo 94 Donald Trump executive actions that opened the border. This problem is leading to massive problems in the United States of America. Parents who can't afford health care.
I don't like how he said this problem is leading to massive problems. That was a
will when Donald Trump is president.
Senator, your time is up. Governor, what about our CBS News polling, which does show that a majority of Americans, more than 50%, support mass deportations?
Look, we fixed this issue with a bill that is necessary.
Semi-fair?
The issue on
We're not
this
CNN,
is what
CBS.
happens when
I mean,
you don't want to solve it. You demonize it. And we saw this.
Oh, because they got
Senator
called
Vance,
out.
It surprises me on this.
Oh, yeah. The last big call
I
out
will create
hard.
stories to bring attention to this. That vilified a large
But they don't
number of
have
people
to
who were
do it
here
as much
legally
because
in
at
the
least
community of
Walz
Springfield.
can talk.
The Republican
like, Kamala
governor
Harris
said
speak.
it's not true. Don't do it. There's consequences for this. There's consequences. We could come together.
I think it's more of
Senator
a
Langford
fuchsia.
did it. We could come together and solve this if we didn't let Donald Trump continue to make it an issue. And the consequences in Springfield.
No, you would come together and solve it if you didn't put $30 billion fucking dollars in the bill for Ukraine when it's supposed to be about the southern goddamn
I believe
border.
Senator Vance
All right,
wants
boys,
to solve
serious.
this.
Socks
By
are
standing
coming
with
off.
Donald Trump and not working together to find a solution, it becomes a talking point. And when it becomes a talking point like this, we dehumanize and villainize other human beings.
Border agent quit doing DNA tests. They proved 99% of kids coming over the border did not belong to the people, mostly men they were with, not really people over there.
The governor has made the point, and I think as a sitting lawmaker, you know that Congress controls the purse strings and any funding. So you have said repeatedly that Donald Trump would, through executive action, solve this. Do you disagree?
You heard her. Donald Trump
that Congress
would.
controls the purse strings and would need to support many of the changes that you would actually want to implement? You have 1 minute.
Look, Margaret, first of all, the gross
Dude,
majority
I'm gonna have
of
to
what we
make
do at the
like
southern
a
border is just
hat like
empowering
yours.
law
That is,
enforcement to do their job. I've been to the southern border more
mine
than
was
our
too
borders
flimsy.
Kamala Harris
It only
has been,
survived that
and it's
photo
actually
shoot.
heartbreaking because the border patrol agents, they just want to be empowered to do their job. Of course, additional resources would help.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have
to
to do
about
the
the
same
president
thing.
and the vice president empowering our law
Someone said it made me look like a Hershey's kid. Kind of like, oh my God, that's so sweet.
You've got to stay in Mexico. You've got to go
makes
back
you look
through
like a
proper channels.
Hungarian immigrant right now.
Brought up the community of Springfield, and he's very worried about the things that I've said in Springfield. Look, in Springfield, Ohio, and in communities all across this country,
it's Sammy and the Mongolian.
You've got hospitals that are overwhelmed. You've
Well,
got
like the
housing that
Mongoloid.
is totally unaffordable because we brought in millions of illegal immigrants to compete with Americans for scarce homes. The people that I'm most worried about in Springfield, Ohio, are the American citizens who have had their lives destroyed by Kamala Harris's open border. It is a disgrace, Tim. And I actually think, I agree with you. I think you
Let me
speak.
I mean, speak.
I don't think that Kamala Harris does.
Let's get to the tough questions. What's your favorite chapter in the Malleus Maleficarum?
It is law enforcement that asked for the bill.
Picard.
They helped craft it.
I
supported it.
That's
because
Picard.
they know we need to do this. Look, this issue of continuing to bring this up, of not dealing with it, of blaming migrants for everything. On housing, we could talk a little bit about Wall Street speculators buying.
People are being ran over by a reckless Haitian driver in Springfield.
Blame. Look, this bill also
they're killing the
necessary to adjudicate. I agree. It should not take 7 years for an asylum claim to be done. This bill gets it done in 90 days. Then you start to make a difference in this, and you start to adhere to what we know, American principles. Look, I don't talk about my faith a lot, But Matthew 25:40 talks about, to the least amongst us, you do unto me. I think that's true of most Americans. They simply want order to it. This bill does it. It's
how about you do that for Americans? These Haitians ain't fucking Americans. Oh my God, the low-key mask. That was legit. Show that off again.
Thank you, Governor. And just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants.
No, it's like that video I sent you the other day.
Temporary protected
that was so good.
But thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important.
Completely normal person here.
The rules were that you guys were going to.
They said if I don't vote for Kamala Harris, they'll take away my insulin.
What's actually going on? So there's
That's not a joke. I'm going to fucking die.
Where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for parole, and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret.
That's right. Just steamroll over the legal tracks. Establish dominance. Slap your non-existent Ken doll cock on the table and tell her what's up.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The CBP app has not been on the books since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris created.
Oh, they fucking cut his mic and he's still going. What a
because your mics are cut. We have so much we want to get to. Thank you for explaining the legal process. Nora.
Thank you, Margaret. The economy is a top concern for voters. Each of your campaigns has released an
SNL sketch, Jane, you ignorant slut. She looks like Jane.
President Harris unveiled a plan that includes billions in tax credits for manufacturing, housing, and a renewed child tax credit. The Wharton School says your proposals will increase the nation's deficit by $1.2 trillion. How would you pay for that
someone who went to the Wharton School?
Governor, I'll give you 2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. And Kamala Harris and I do believe in the middle class because that's where we come from. We both grew up in that.
Oh my God!
So
this is the second time it said it. It came from the middle class.
It's healthy. That's what this is supposed to happen. You should be listening. How's this going to impact me? The bold forward plan that Kamala Harris put out there is talking about this housing issue. The one thing is there's 3 million new houses proposed under this plan with down payment assistance on the front end to get you in a house. A house
there are plenty of neglected areas
to be traded somewhere. It's foundational to where you're at.
Fix up the houses that are already built.
The things you buy every day, whether they be prescription drugs or other things, that there's fairness in that. Look, the $35 insulin is a good thing, but it costs $5 to make insulin. They were charging $800 before this law went into effect. As far as the housing goes, I've seen it in Minnesota.
I will give them that. Big Pharma's got
prices went down on rent 4%.
No, you're completely correct. Yeah, Big Pharma can get fucked. But also, who is it that has been the biggest proponent of Big Pharma for the last God knows how many years? The Uniparty.
Childhood poverty by a third. We save money in the long
run.
Oh,
you mean the people who said you couldn't go on an airplane until you got a certain
the law as it stands right
immunization?
Now,
the people left and right, the Pfizer's putting money in the pockets of saying, hey, run commercials on daytime TV. You know when the kids are watching Tom and Jerry, make sure that Tom and Jerry's antics are sponsored by Pfizer.
Mar-a-Lago said, you're rich as hell, I'm going to give you a tax cut. He gave the tax cuts that predominantly
I don't know, the kids today watch Tom and Jerry. That may have been an outdated reference.
An $8 trillion increase in the national debt, the largest ever. Now he's proposing a 20% consumption or sales tax on everything we bring in. Everyone agrees, including businesses, it would be destabilizing it. It would increase inflation and potentially lead to a recession. Look, this is simple for you. Where are we going? Kamala Harris has said to do the things she wants to do. We'll just ask the wealthiest to pay their fair share. When you do that,
already do,
our system works
motherfucker.
best. More people are participating in it. And folks have the things that they need.
Senator, I want to give you a moment to respond on that. But similarly, the Wharton School has done an analysis of the Trump plan and says it would increase the nation's deficit by $5.8 trillion. My question is the same for you. How do you pay for all that without ballooning the deficit? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, you're going to hear a lot from Tim Walz this evening, and you just heard it in the answer, a lot of what Kamala Harris proposes to do. And some of it, I'll be honest with you, it even sounds pretty good. Here's what you won't hear, is that Kamala Harris has already done it. Because she's been the vice president for 3.5 years. She had the opportunity to enact all of these great policies. And what she's actually done instead is drive the cost of food higher by 25%, drive the cost of housing higher by about 60%.
And here's the deal, Matt Hatter. when you talk about people like Elon Musk or Bill Gates or any of these rich billionaires, they're not walking around with that shit in cash in their pocket. It's fucking assets. It's stocks. It's bonds. It's cars. It's houses. Like when it comes to taxable income, they pay their fair fucking share.
And the fact that she isn't tells you a lot about how much you can trust her actual plans.
The Wharton School, Jason, is not like a very
plan, but it's also a
prestigious.
A lot of those same economists attack Donald Trump's plans. And
Trump actually went there.
They don't have common sense and they don't have wisdom, because Donald Trump's economic policies delivered the highest take-home pay in a generation in this country, 1.5% inflation, and to boot, peace and security all over the world. So when people say that Donald Trump's economic plan doesn't make sense, I say look at the record. He delivered rising take-home pay for American workers. Now, Tim admirably admits that they want to undo the Trump tax cuts.
I have no idea,
if you
Jason.
look at what was so different about Donald Trump's tax cuts,
is anyone
from previous Republican tax cut plans, is that a lot of those resources went to giving more take-home pay to middle class and working class Americans. It was passed in 2017, and you saw an American economic boom unlike we've seen in a lot of predictions.
I thought that said pediatricians for a sec, and I was like, I don't like the idea of pediatricians being involved in politics. There's already too many kids getting touched by these fucking elected officials.
I know a lot of you are struggling. I know a lot of you are worried about paying the bills. It's gonna stop when Donald Trump brings back common sense to this country.
Governor, do you want to respond to that? What has Kamala Harris done for the middle class?
Yeah, well, Kamala Harris's day one was Donald Trump's failure on COVID that led to the collapse of our economy. We were already before COVID in a manufacturing recession.
Really?
10 million people out of work.
I didn't know that, LMA.
Since the Great Depression. 9 million jobs closed on that. That was day one. Whether it was the Infrastructure Act or other things we moved. Now, you made a question about experts, said this. I've made a note of this. Economists can't be trusted. Science can't be trusted. National security folks can't be trusted.
Yes, these are all correct statements.
President,
they can't be trusted. Why am I wearing a tinfoil on my noggin so that the NSA doesn't see me through my camera while reacting to this and turn me into a gelatin monster?
And the same thing goes with this. And I ask you out there, teachers, nurses, truck drivers, or whatever, how is it fair that you're paying your taxes every year and Donald Trump hasn't paid any federal tax in the last 15 years, in the last year as president? That's what's wrong with the system. There's a way around
that little look into the camera like that.
We're just asking for fairness in it, and that's all you want.
You have a minute.
Governor, you say trust the experts. But those same experts for 40 years said that if we shipped our manufacturing base off to China, we'd get cheaper goods. They lied about that. They said if we shipped our industrial base off to other countries, to Mexico and elsewhere, it would make the middle class stronger. They were wrong about that. They were wrong about the idea that if we made America less self-reliant, less productive in our own nation, that it would somehow make us better off, and they were wrong about it. And for the first time,
I don't even know how you come to that conclusion unless you were actively trying to sabotage the country 40 years down the line.
Yeah,
that makes no sense.
We're not doing it anymore.
You are going to
American manufacturing back.
If you have a garden, you're going to be objectively better off growing your own fucking vegetables than going down to Walmart and buying tomatoes.
At home, 7, 4, and 2, and I love them very much, and I hope they're in bed right now. But look,
would you rather be the person with the goods or the person buying the goods?
This has to stop, and we're not.
I just like knowing that I have
to
the
experts. We're going to stop
ladies.
To
hell yeah, baby.
Which is what Donald Trump governed on.
Senator, your time is up. Governor Walz, can you address that? I mean, voters say they trust Donald Trump on the economy.
Yeah, I'm getting the same vibe.
If you're listening tonight and you want billionaires to get tax cuts, you heard what the numbers were.
I think that's just his old man eyebrows. They're kind of always up at an angle, kind of surprising.
Yeah, it also doesn't help that he's doing this the whole fucking time. Every time Vance talks,
that's something that we believe in. I think the thing that most concerns me on this is Donald Trump was the guy who created the largest trade deficit in American history with China. So the rhetoric is good. Much of what the senator said right there,
I don't give a fuck about the deficit. It's all imaginary money anyway.
And we talk about that. But we had people undercutting the right to collectively bargain. We had right to work states made it more difficult. We had companies that were willing to ship it over. And we saw people profit. Folks that are venture capital.
That would be like that old E3 where like Sega announced that ridiculous
the issue is Donald Trump is talking about it.
Sony came out and was like $299 and walked off stage. Like that would be the equivalent.
May I respond to that?
Yes.
So appreciate that. So if you notice what Governor Walz just did is he said, first of all, Donald Trump has to listen to the experts. And then when he acknowledged that the experts screwed up, he said, well, Donald Trump didn't do nearly as
I'm in a right to work state, and it's way better than the enforced pay retarded union. Oh, yeah, yeah. I'm in a right to work state as well. And as someone that's done plenty of hiring and gotten fired in time too. You know what I did? I took a couple days off, took a mini vacation, and went and got another fucking job like an adult.
You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver lower inflation, which of course he did. And then you simultaneously got to defend Kamala Harris's atrocious economic record, which has made gas, groceries, and housing unaffordable for American citizens. I was raised by a woman who would sometimes go into medical debt.
I was about to say raised by wolves.
Food on the table, and I know what it's like.
And they did a better job
to afford the things that you need to afford. We can do so much better.
Yeah,
to all of you watching, we can get back to an America that's affordable again. We just got to get back to common sense economic principles.
I hope we have a conversation.
I grew up in a middle class coven.
Governor,
please.
And
thank you, Margaret.
We have a lot to get to ahead.
Well, I grew up in a low
topics,
class
but right
family.
now,
I
want
lived
to
in a
talk about
fucking trailer and
personal
apartments my whole life.
qualifications.
So
The vice president is often the last voice
this
the
fucking
president
all
hears
this
before
tinfoil, we couldn't
making
afford this when I was
consequential
growing up. It's
decisions.
the whole roll up
We
in
want to
here,
ask
bitch.
you about your
oh, dude,
leadership
if
qualities.
I made a
Governor
hat like that,
Walz,
my mom would have kicked
you
the
said you were in
shit out
Hong
of
Kong during the deadly
Same.
Tiananmen Square protests in the spring of 1989.
And we had Tupperware.
Minnesota
So,
Public Radio and other media outlets are
Be
reporting
bad,
that
be
you
bad, be
actually
quiet.
didn't
Yeah.
travel to Asia until
yeah.
August of that year. Can you explain that discrepancy? You have 2
Yeah,
minutes.
well, and to the folks out there who didn't get at the top of this, look, I grew up in small rural Nebraska, town of 400, town that you rode your bike with your buddies till the streetlights come on, and I'm proud of that service.
like everybody else.
It
doesn't
on
matter.
family farms.
Town of 400.
I
Okay, I did that in a
used the
town
GI
of
Bill
40,000.
to become a teacher,
Like,
passionate about it, a young
The
teacher.
streetlight thing was a
My first
universal
year out, I got
rule.
the opportunity
Okay,
in
like
the summer of '89 to travel to China. 35 years ago, be able to do that. I came back home and then started a program to take young people there. We would take basketball teams, we would take baseball teams.
I do
we
not
would
like
take
old white
dancers,
guys talking
and we
about
would go
taking
back
young
and
people
forth to
places.
China.
I'm just
The issue
after
for
all
that
the
was
Epstein
to try
stuff.
and
That,
learn.
I'm
Now,
really
yeah.
my community knows who I am. They saw
I
where
bought a
was at.
van.
And
I blacked
I
out
will be
all
the first
the
to tell you,
windows.
I have poured my heart into my community. I've
It was
tried
the
to do
same
the
poured
best I can,
myself
but I've
into the
not been
children
perfect,
of that
and I'm a
community.
knucklehead at times, but it's always been about that. Those same people elected me to Congress for 12 years. And in Congress, I was one of the most bipartisan people, working on things like farm bills that we got done, working on veterans benefits.
And then I changed the flag to the Somalian flag, and then I put
my commitment
tampon
has been from the
dispensers in
beginning
the men's
to make
room.
sure that I'm there for
I did
the
a bunch
people,
of shit.
to make sure that I get this right. I will say more than anything, many times I will talk a lot. I will get caught up in the rhetoric. But being there, the impact it made, the difference it made in my life, I learned a lot about China. I hear the critiques of this. I would make the case that Donald Trump should have come on one of those trips with us. I guarantee you he wouldn't be praising Xi Jinping about COVID. And I guarantee you he wouldn't start a trade war that he ends up losing. So this is about trying to understand
trade war he ends up losing again?
It's about
Okay.
trying to do the best you can for your community. And then it's putting yourself out there and letting your folks understand what it is.
Trump.
My
But under
commitment,
Trump,
whether
when I
it
was
be through
making less
teaching,
money,
which I was
that
good
money
at,
was
or whether it
going
was being a
further.
good soldier or was being a good member of
Yes.
Congress, those are the things that I think are the values that people
$8
care
more an
about.
hour now than I was
Governor,
under Trump,
just
and
to
yet I
follow
am
up on that,
losing
the
money that I
question
wasn't
was, can
losing
you
before.
explain
So thank you everybody
the
on YouTube who helped
discrepancy?
All I
subsidize my
said on this
fucking
was I
existence, by
got
the
there
way.
that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said. So I was in Hong Kong and China during the democracy protests.
China.
And from that, I learned a lot of what needed to be in governance.
Thank you, Governor. Senator Vance, in 2016,
You learned a lot of
running
what
mate
it
Donald
meant to
Trump
be in governments.
unfit for the nation's highest
That's what he
office,
said.
and you said he could be America's Hitler.
Just checking.
I know you've been asked many times, and you've said you regret
I'll give it to
those
him though.
comments,
Like it's hard to
and
talk on
explained
your
you
feet
then
like
voted
that.
for
You know,
Donald Trump
like
in
Is it because you and I have
2020.
been doing it for an
The
hour and
Washington
41
Post
minutes, and we've
reported
kind
new
of been
messages
crushing it?
last week in which you also disparaged Trump's
but,
economic
you know,
record while he
I'm
was
not worried
president.
about people
Writing to
voting
someone
for
in
me though.
2020,
You know, like
quote, Trump thoroughly failed
Oh,
to
I want
deliver
people to vote for
I
me.
learned. Yeah,
populism.
Gord's got it. Yeah,
You're
I
now his
learned
running
government.
mate, and you've shifted many of your policy stances to align with
I know.
his.
I know circles.
If you become vice president,
I've got to go
why
get some
should
water.
Americans
I'm
trust that
dying.
you
Give me a
will give
moment.
Yeah,
Donald
for sure,
Trump
dude.
the advice he needs to hear,
All
and not
right.
just the advice
Little one-on-one
he wants to
time.
hear. You have 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, Margaret, because I've always been open. And sometimes, of course, I've disagreed with the president, but I've also been extremely open about the fact that I was wrong about Donald Trump. I was wrong, first of all, because I believed some of the media stories that turned out to be dishonest fabrications of his record. But most importantly, Donald Trump delivered for the American people. Rising wages, rising take-home pay,
say he
an
was
economy
wrong.
that worked for normal Americans, a secure southern border, a lot of things, frankly, that I didn't think he'd be able to deliver on. And yeah, when you screw up, when you misspeak, when you get something wrong and you change your mind, you ought to be honest with the American people about it. It's one of the reasons, Margaret, why I've done so many interviews is because I think it's important to actually explain to the American people where I come down on the issues and what changed. Now, you pointed out the messages from 2020. Margaret, I've been extremely consistent.
Yeah, no, you got it.
You
got it. You got it,
that we could have done better in the Trump administration.
It's like, and then he wants to talk to us about common sense.
Doing its job. I strongly believe.
Man, people coping for that were ridiculous.
Not just a high
they were going like, "Oh, he wants to put tampon machines."
Senators and congressmen
when Tampon Tim was trending, holy shit!
There were a lot of things on the border, on tariffs, for example, where I think that we could have done so much more if the Republican Congress and the Democrats in Congress had been a little bit better about how they govern the country. They were so obsessed with impeaching Donald Trump, they couldn't actually govern. And I want to talk about this tariff issue in particular, Margaret, because Tim just accused this of being a national sales tax. Look, the one thing, and you're probably surprised to hear me praising Joe Biden, but the one thing that Joe Biden did is he continued some of the Trump tariffs that protected American manufacturing jobs. And it's the one issue.
Yes, you're right.
Most
Kamala still hasn't said she was wrong to President.
It's the one issue where Kamala Harris has run away from Joe Biden's record.
She laughed about it like a lunatic.
If you're trying to employ slave laborers in China at $3 a day, you're going
I want to point out that tick is
within
that word. It wasn't tick. A tick is a parasite.
Our country stands up for itself and says you're not accessing our markets unless you're paying middle-class Americans a fair wage.
Senator, your time is up. Nora?
Thank you. Now to the issue of reproductive rights. Governor Walz, after Roe versus Wade was overturned, you signed a bill into law that made Minnesota one of the least restrictive states in the nation when it comes to abortion.
That's a funny way to say you have killed so many fucking babies.
Abortion, quote, in the 9th month is absolutely fine. Yes or no? Is that what
That's right, LMA.
I'll give you 2 minutes.
That's not what the bill says. But look, this issue is what's on everyone's mind. Donald Trump
is really not though. Look, even the women that are all like, "I love abortion,"
put the judges in and
need to be
overturn
able
Roe
to
versus Wade.
afford the abortion. They can't do that with the
And then he
Democrat
tells
policy.
us, "Oh, we send it to the state."
No, there are plenty of those psychopaths who are just
Amanda
like,
Zaworski would disagree with you on
abortion
thing. A young bride in Texas waiting for their child at 18 weeks. She has a complication, a tear in the membrane. She needs to go in. The medical
got a
care
tear in the
at that point
membrane
needs to be decided by the doctor. And that would have been an abortion. But in Texas, that would have put them
got a
in legal
tear
jeopardy.
in the membrane.
She went home, got sepsis, nearly dies, and now she may have difficulty having children. Or in Kentucky, Hadley Duvall, a 12-year-old child.
40% of women are single-issue voters on pro-abortion. 40% of women are fucking retarded.
Senator Vance said
I'm not going to go full 100%. I'm not spoon. I will go as high as 40.
So in Minnesota, what we did was restore Roe versus Wade. We made sure that we put women in charge of their health care. But look, this is not where, if you don't know, Amanda,
if you separated some of these things, like,
Project
education, why does abortion and IVF have to be in the same?
Not impossible to get contraception.
Why are condoms in the family planning section of your local gas station or grocery store? Like, isn't that kind of the opposite of planning for a family?
Yeah,
that's nobody else's business. But those things are being proposed. And the catch-all on this is, well, the states will decide what's right for Texas might not be right for Washington. That's not how this works.
Yes, it is. That is literally how this fucking works. That's how it works.
Skyrocket in Texas.
Guess what?
Many other countries in the world.
You know what we haven't done is put like an ankle, connected to a chain and said,
Senator,
you have to live in this state forever. If you don't like it, fucking move.
Monitoring agency?
No, Nora, certainly we won't. And I want to talk about this issue because I know a lot of Americans care about it. And I know a lot of Americans don't agree with everything that I've ever said on this topic. And, I grew up in a working class family in a neighborhood where I knew a lot of young women who had unplanned pregnancies and decided to terminate those pregnancies because they feel like they didn't have any other options. And I one of them is actually very dear to me.
I just want if there is another debate, I want Trump to be like, I grew up rich as fuck.
Years ago that she felt like if she hadn't had that abortion,
you're all a bunch of goddamn peasants
because she was in an abusive relationship.
You don't know any better.
What I take from that as a Republican who proudly wants to protect.
I'm so tired of this
life
lie
in
about
this
how
country, who
expensive
proudly
kids
wants
are
to
to have.
protect the
They
vulnerable.
really fucking
my party, we've got to do so much better of a job.
Yeah,
at
if the
earning
kid
the American
has a
people's
disability or
trust back on this
something,
issue
yeah,
where they
but then
frankly
again, that
just
goes
don't
back to the
trust us.
insurance
And I think that's one of the things
companies
that
and
Donald
big
Trump and I
pharma
are endeavoring to do. I want
Oh,
us,
yeah,
as a
that's so much
Republican
better.
Party, to be pro-family in the fullest
It's just
sense
one of those
the
things that,
word.
like,
I want us to
oh,
support
kids are so
fertility treatments.
expensive.
I want
Oh,
us to make it
you
easier
mean that
for
instead
moms
of buying
to
a
afford to
fucking
have babies. I
anime
want it to make
statue,
it
instead
easier
you're
for young
buying an
families
extra thing of
to afford a
groceries. Like,
home so they
you
can
still
afford a
have
place
the money.
to raise
You
that
just have to
family. And I think
stop
there's
being
so
as
much that we can
selfish and
do
frivolously
on the
spending and now
public
spend it
policy
on
front just
another
to give
human
women
being.
more
This is going to
options.
grow and be
Now,
molded
of
into a
course,
better
Donald
version
Trump
of
has
you
been
if you
very
do
clear
shit
that
right.
on the abortion
Kids
policy
aren't
issue
expensive.
specifically, that we have a big country and it's diverse. And California has a different viewpoint on this than Georgia. Georgia has
Billy
a different
Joel's coming to
viewpoint
town. I might
from
go see
Arizona.
that.
And the proper
Nice.
way to handle this, as messy as democracy sometimes is
I
to
saw him
let
once with Elton John. It
voters
was
make
fucking
these
amazing
decisions,
concert.
let the
Oh, I
individual
bet that
states
would be
make
an
their abortion
awesome show. The
policy.
two
And I think
piano
that's what
masters
makes the
together.
most sense
Yeah.
in a very big, a very diverse, and let's be honest, sometimes a very, very messy.
Bold talk
They
coming
can
from
be,
a
dude.
Would you
dwarf.
like to respond and also answer the
They
question
can
about
be, Philip.
restrictions?
I don't know. My buddy took his
Trump
7-year-old
made
to
the
his first
accusation it
Tigers
wasn't true
game
about
or his
Minnesota.
first
Well,
Lions
let
game
me
the other
tell
day.
you
I'm sure he
about
felt
this
like
idea
he was
that there's
disabled.
diverse states. There's a young woman named Amber Thurman. She happened to be in Georgia.
I am
a
unsure why an
Who was
election
Thurman?
would involve
Because
trying to
of that,
prevent
she
war,
had to
trying to manage
travel a
immigration,
long
trying to make sure people have
to
enough
North
to live on,
Carolina
as to hinge on
try and get
someone's
her
opinion
care.
about abortion.
Amber
But yo,
Thurman died
I know the
in that
nukes are coming,
journey back and
but
forth.
can women get it
The
scraped
fact of
out
the
of
matter
them?
is, how can we as a
Like,
nation
Yeah.
say
Hey,
that your life
sorry, ladies.
and your
Some of you are
rights,
gonna have to just
as
get more dry
basic
cleaning.
as
They
the
got
right
wire
to
hangers
control
there.
your own body, is determined
You
on
know,
geography.
or you can
There's a
move.
very real chance
look,
had Amber Thurman lived in
vitamin C
Minnesota,
is a
she would be alive
natural
today. That's why the
abortion causer. If
restoration
you
of Roe
OD
versus
on
Wade.
vitamin
When
C,
you
it will
listen to
kill a
Vice President
fetus.
Harris talk
So,
about this subject, and
if
you
you
hear me
live
talk
in a
about it,
state that doesn't
you
allow
hear us talking
abortion,
exactly the same.
eat some
Donald
oranges,
Trump
you'll
is
be
trying to
fine.
figure out how to get
Like,
the political right of this.
The
I
more
agree
you
with a lot of
know.
what Senator Vance said about what's happening. His running mate, though, does not, and that's the problem.
Governor, your time is up. Senator,
okay,
let me ask
Philip,
you about that.
you kind of make that
mentioned
sound
I think
awesome,
referring to a
though.
national ban. In the past, you have supported a federal ban on abortion after 15 weeks. In fact, you said if someone can't support legislation like that, quote, you are making the United States the most barbaric pro-abortion regime anywhere in the entire world. My question is, why have you changed your position?
Well, Nora, first of all, I never supported a national ban. I did, during while I was running for Senate in 2022, talk about setting some minimum national standard. For example, we have a partial birth abortion ban in place in this country at the federal level. I don't think anybody's trying to get rid of that, or at least I hope not, though I know that Democrats have taken a very radical pro-abortion stance.
No, little bits. Me and Sammy talked about this last week. We want Democrats aborting their fucking kids.
Yeah, I was like, I am so pro these Democrat women not having kids and putting more Democrats into the world. I was like, I almost wish they mandated it. And it was like, oh, you can keep one if you kill 3. Like, you know, like
it's something that's going to destroy their
okay,
livelihood.
like, because what are they going to do?
We should go the Chinese method where you got to keep the male ones. We know males grow up to identify more conservative than women. So
pro-family policies, making childcare more accessible, making fertility treatments more accessible, because we've got to do a better job at that. And that's what real leadership is.
It just keeps cracking me up every single time he says Nora.
On the pro-abortion piece of that. No, we're not. We're pro-women. We're pro-freedom to make your own choice.
This is how I'll always remember you. Surrounded by winter, forever young, forever beautiful. Rest well, my love. The monster who took you from me will soon learn that revenge is a dish best served cold.
Minnesota's a state with one of the lowest teen pregnancy rates. We understand that too. We know that the
Sorry.
options need to be
no, that was
available.
beautiful. I loved it. I might
true.
clip that. That
We
was
also
great.
make it, we're a top 3 state for the best place to raise children. But these two things to try and say that we're pro-children, but we don't like this, or you guys are pro-abortion, that's not the case at all. We are pro-freedoms for women to
Did
make
you
their
just see the
choices,
confusion
and
on
we're
Vance's
going,
face?
and Kamala
We're not
Harris is making
pro-abortion.
a case,
The fuck did
make
he just say?
options for children more a $6,000
We're not pro-abortion.
facts.
You know when you watch The Office and like something's happening and it does a hard cut to the interview portion, like that's what Vance's face looked like. It was a hard cut.
Amber Thurman should still be alive, and there are a lot of people who should still be alive, and I certainly wish that she was. And maybe you're free to disagree with me on this and explain this to me. But as I read the Minnesota law that you signed into law, the statute that you signed into law, it says that a doctor who presides over an abortion where the baby survives, the doctor is under no obligation to provide life-saving care to a baby who survives a botched late-term abortion. That is, I think, whether you're pro-choice or pro-abortion, that is fundamentally barbaric. And that's why I use that word, Nora, is because some
I'd like
Nora perform abortions against their will, because Kamala Harris has supported suing Catholic nuns to violate their freedom of conscience. We can
that's correct, Serrano. That's entirely correct.
Respect people's freedom of conscience and make the country more pro-baby and pro-family. But please.
Yes, Governor, please respond.
Look, this is one where there's always something there. This is a very simple proposition.
Oh, there's a timer up above them. Did you see that?
Healthcare decisions.
Yeah.
And physicians who know best when they need to do this. Trying to distort the way a law is written to try and make a point, that's not it at all.
What was I wrong about, Governor? Please tell me, what was I wrong about?
That is not the way the law is written. Look, I've given I've given this advice on a lot of things that getting involved.
That's not how it's written. Answer how it's written. Fucking come on, potato head.
Of these guys to try and tell women or to get involved. I use this line on this. Just mind your own business on this. Things work best when Roe
mind your own business doesn't explain how the fucking law is written in your state. You absolute cretin.
From increasing funding for children. It doesn't increase us from making sure that once that child's born, like in Minnesota, they get meals, they get early childhood education, they get health care. So the hiding behind we're going to do all these other things when you're not proposing them in your budget. Kamala Harris is proposing them. She's proposing all those things to make life easier.
All right, buddy, I got to start wrapping up here soon.
Governor, you
gave me I figured as much. Do you want me to run solo until we hit the 2 hour mark if that's the case?
Oh, no, absolutely.
Gentlemen, there's a lot to discuss. We have to move on.
You know Gooch has that long-ass intro?
That's very true. So cool. You got 5.5 more minutes then?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, that works.
Wow, thanks, guys. Thanks for, they listened.
All right, looks like they're cutting the commercial, so we'll go ahead and stop the coverage right here. That was, that's a good way to end that. Holy shit, what a shit show. We went from witches to haunted dolls to let's see, from witches to haunted dolls to movie talk, back to witches, oddly enough, with the fucking acolyte, and then a presidential or vice presidential debate. This has been what are your final thoughts? How you feeling about tinfoil haters?
I like it. It's an open concept. It's constantly moving. It's poetry in motion, really.
She blinded me with science. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Go on.
No, it was great. Yeah, and then then going to the vice presidential debate. It was that was solid. I'm looking forward to it, and then I'm looking forward to doing more work for our intro. That's gonna be.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a blast. Because I was gonna work on intro, and then you said you've got that. And I was like, well, if he's got that, then I'll just hang tight. You sent me those songs. I think number 4 was my favorite. Like, I don't know about you.
Dude, we're going with 4 for sure.
Yes. So yeah, next week, guys, it will not be a just a normal countdown. We will have full intro, and I'm excited for it. This is gonna be great.
And then
we hit 40 likes first stream. I think we topped out at like 50 something people watching or 30 something. Either way, I think that's great, and especially considering had to change the times because I fucked up. So
yeah, it takes 2 to tango. I also fucked up. So when we said 8 and I said yes, none of us went. I think we just both forgot that we live in different time zones, but
yeah, well, to me, it's so. As someone who's been to Michigan multiple times, Michigan is almost directly above, like a couple states above where I'm at. So why the fuck are you guys not like? Why are the time zones so wonky? And you should be in the central time zone with where you're at on the map. Is all I'm saying. You guys should be central. You are part of the Midwest. Mid means middle, central. What the fuck?
I don't make the fucking rules, man.
Do we need to
gerrymander? I am at the very
zones?
eastern part of the state, so, but yeah, I would expect like places like Kalamazoo and stuff to probably be in that, but who knows?
So
Whatever.
So I don't know about Michigan. Indiana, the time zone splits down the state, so you can be like in one town in Indiana, drive to the next town over, and now you're an hour ahead or an hour behind. That's so fucking stupid.
That would drive me fucking insane.
I don't know if Michigan has that all, if you're all the same, but like, dude, yeah, Indiana's retarded. Yeah, Mad Hatter's. Yes, it does. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Philip Morgan. This is a lot of fun. I cannot wait to continue this. We're gonna again. There's really no plans. Like Sammy hit me up. He's like, hey, let's talk about the Maleficarum. And we did for the first like 25, 30 minutes, and it was a fucking blast. And then it just sort of went off the rails, which I was hoping it would do. There was no real lulls in the conversation because you and I can both jack our jaws with the best of them. We're honestly better at doing it than the two clowns we just watched.
No, like it's ADD caught on tape, guys. That's what we're gonna do. Is it was like we will start out in good faith, and then it's just gonna go off the rails, and I don't care because like what am I gonna have pop quiz tomorrow on the Maleficarum or
when it does go off the rails, Pete Buttigieg is gonna wait about 2 weeks to come in and save us. So
yeah, exactly. We're people,
that was a topical reference a year ago for you guys.
I was gonna say, he's pulling out the Pete Buttigieg material, eh?
All right, I think we're gonna wrap it here. Sammy, go ahead and tell us who you are, what you do. Because of the time zone change, I didn't get to do a description. I have to do that after. So if mods, Dax, you already got it, my man. Tell the people who you are, what you do, where you're going after this, so everyone can follow. I may or may not be in the chat because me and Moxie have to do some work on our stream right after this. So
nice. I am Sammy 3Pete. You can find me on YouTube, on the YouTubes at Sammy 3Pete. You can almost find me on Twitter as well. And I'll be going right from here to Gooch's channel, Diabolical Souls. We'll be talking about episode 3 and 4 of Invincible. And then after that, I don't know what I'm doing for the rest of the week. I think I'm going on Moxie's channel on Saturday night.
You and me both.
Oh, nice.
Yep. Moxie. So for those of you guys that don't know, Moxie Dame, she's starting her own sort of SNH countercast, a panel stream, and it's gonna be once a month. And me and Sammy get to be on the inaugural episode. Yeah, make sure you guys get her that grift money, that fucking super chat goal to bring out Gothy Moxie, because oh my fucking god.
Indeed.
And then why though? You guys hate to no. Anyway, we're gonna call it here. Find me obviously on my channel where you're watching right now. New videos a day, almost every day. But also on Moxie's channel, Thursday is our first episode of October's That Crime of the Month. It is now a twice a month show. So the first and third Thursday of every month, we're going to be doing true crime. We are going to be covering the Scarface killer on Thursday. It's going to be wild. The Scarface TikTok killer. Crazy story. Very recent story. And we'll see you over there. We'll see you on Sammy's channel. We'll see you on mine. And guys, until next time, it's all here in the Nerdosphere. This has been Words of Paradise.